What's happening? Welcome to Thursday Night Pint, another jam-packed show for you guys where we sit back, have a bevy and try and put the world around Liverpool to rights. We've got two very, very special guests alongside the wonderful Steve and the wonderful Chris as well. We'll be getting to that in a minute, but first it's time to wrap up the week in Liverpool and cast your minds back to the weekend where the Reds decided to take all of the positivity, all of the goodwill, all of the optimism garnered in the 7-0 win over Manchester United and then basically flush it down the toilet by losing 1-0 bottom of the table, Bournemouth. Thanks for that, lads. Speaking of which, former West Ham, Leeds United, Manchester United, and QPR defender, and also a man vying for the Guinness World Record for the most horrendous football takes in any given week of the season. Rio Ferdinand has claimed that 1-0 defeat was a small club mentality. Yeah, clearly, Rio, totally and utterly unbiased there. In no way, shape or form has he been emotionally, mentally scarred by being buzzed off for claiming how optimistic he was ahead of the aforementioned 7-0 win. Yes. Liverpool decided to pick up where they left off from the weekend, heading to the Bernabeu and ultimately crashing out of the Champions League after a 1-0 defeat. A game that was marked at least by a touching gesture from Real Madrid, who played "You'll Never Walk Alone" at the end of the game. Not that any of us really wants consolation from Real Madrid fans or the club, but hey, here we are. It is what it is. The Reds are out of the Champions League once again. It means there will be no magical Istanbul story this season. The day of the match also saw more bad news for Liverpool and their midfield woes as Stefan Bajcetic continued his rise as the breakout star of 2023, really taking his integration into being one of the most pivotal modern-day midfielders for Liverpool Football Club by basically being ruled out for the rest of the season with injury. Yeah, spot on, really fitting in with everything we've got at the moment. And finally, the defeat in the Bernabeu leaves us now with Fulham participating still in the FA Cup with a 17-day break from football. The good thing is, at least during that time, it's going to be filled with high-quality international football. Certainly no more injuries to Liverpool players. And I am absolutely cast iron positive that the social media space around the football club will remain a cheerful, upbeat place to be in that time as well. Absolutely. Right, without further ado, let's get stuck into it. We're going to be chatting Real. We're going to be picking Roberto Firmino's top 5 greatest moments as a Liverpool player, and we're going to be looking ahead to what Liverpool do when they return from this mad enforced/international break. But first, let me introduce my first guest for tonight. It is the wonderful, the legendary Mr. Steho! Clap yourself. I keep going to do I cut off abruptly. I keep going to say something. I've not really got a lot of comedy in the tank.
Okay.
So I realised best not to shoot for it in case I say something that's just really offensive for no reason whatsoever.
No, that's fine. I'd appreciate that as well. Yeah.
It just would have been like, I'd stay. Steve's got no hair. I'd be like, yeah, well done.
Yeah, because you take so long scripting the other bit beforehand that you kind of neglect this bit. Is that
slightly more credit than that, to be perfectly honest. Right, sounds welcome aboard, Mr. Steho. The man who will be sitting alongside him for Pint is, of course, another legendary being himself. It is Mr. Chris Pager. Oh. Power walkout.
I know.
That was
good music. I like it.
It was very powerful. Did you feel slightly
energetic?
Do you know what it was? I was talking to them outside going, if someone struggled to walk in, they were like, I'm not happy with me walk. And then I started thinking about how I'm walking as I walked in. So yeah, I've got it in my own head.
There's nothing harder than thinking about walking. No. I mean, there's myriad more difficult things than just walking, but yeah. It's a tricky one. Let's see then how our next guest copes with this. Guitarist from the Cheap Thrills, we've got Terry Eaves!
There's a power walk as well, there we go.
That's a small gap as well. Look.
He's flown through it.
He's nimble.
I think he handled that quite well. Was it you who complained about walking in?
No, it wasn't me. You wouldn't get those words out my mouth.
Okay. Brilliant. Welcome, bud.
Thank you. Nice to be here with me lovely red stripe.
Yeah, absolutely. You call it the gig beer of the choice.
It is, yeah. Brings back the memories. 17 again.
Pracky rooms.
Pracky rooms, yeah. Sweat, crap gigs.
Red stripe, which is if Red Stripe want to pay us to do this, we'll tell you it's a nice beer. But it is very much served. And like, if there was a Guitar Hero game of being a band in Liverpool, the first gig you play would have been the Zanzibar, and the beer that was sold was Red Stripe. It's like the.
I feel like you've read me file. First gig was in the Zanzibar. So, yeah.
And you've got to stay away from the draft in the Zanzibar, to be fair.
I know, it's like Mystic Meg. I don't want to know what else you know.
Let's see. Let's wait and find out. Maybe she transferred her powers to me last week. Right, cool. Our final guest of the week, but by no means least, I'm sure the vast majority of people here will know him, of course. Star of the internet, star of YouTube, director of the Jordan Henderson Night documentary. It is Mr. Laurence McKenna! Oh, yes.
You're right, that walk is actually a bit awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good though.
Did you think about the walk before coming in?
Only because Chris, before we walked out, went, "Don't mess the walk up," and then walked out. And everyone was like, "Don't you normally just put your legs before the other ones?" But then Chris walked out totally normal. So I
didn't feel like I did my best walking, to be honest.
What's the best walk that's ever been done on this show? I don't know.
I couldn't possibly be the judge of that. I'm sure if anyone's watched every episode, they could probably let us know in the comments. But it's almost certainly going to be Chris.
It's sort of like awkward walking on camera because you feel like Kermit the Frog. You know when Kermit the Frog in the Muppets like walks across the street and they have to like really go out of their way to make Kermit walk.
Yeah. Like Team America.
Yeah. Like I've never seen that many YouTubers walk unless you meet them in real life. Because most of the time on YouTube it is just like static.
Yeah.
You just sit there. So when you see a YouTuber walk, you're like, oh, it does.
I've seen most of the inside of their bedrooms, but not seen
that's
a lot of their legs.
That's it. That's Red Men Uncensored. Like.
Yeah.
You should let them come out to like wrestling walkouts, like Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for copyright laws, we probably could do that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you had to pick a WWE wrestler's theme from the past,
Val Venus.
To be fair.
Hello, ladies.
There you go, Mr. Ass.
Yeah.
Stone Cold. I've already given the bag away, but the glass shatter.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
in.
Yeah. Imagine if he did that to the door.
Road dogs. Road dogs where you come out with the mic.
Oh,
Yeah.
didn't know.
Probably Vince McMahon for me, I'd say.
Yeah. I could deal with a bit of that. Right, cool, gentlemen.
That
Thank
was
you so
a
much.
bit like your walk then, to be honest.
Yeah, the whole
Conor McGregor.
Billy Strider.
Big fan indeed. Okay, cool. If you're watching live, you can interact with the show using the live show chat. If you're a club legend, you can use the Discord as well. But let's battle into it really. As much as I'd love to sit and just talk about wrestling themes from the 80s, 90s and beyond, we will talk about Liverpool losing 1-0 to Real Madrid. Chris, there was to be no magical European night, and unfortunately that was all we were kind of relying on really, was the idea that out of nowhere Liverpool would just be reborn into this world where we do just pull random stuff out of our arse and we sing loads of songs about it.
And for the first 2 minutes of the game, it looked like it was on, didn't it? Because it looked like we'd started really well. And then we were talking about it like, Real Madrid look a little bit shaky. And then after about 5 minutes, you're thinking to yourself, I'm not sure we're going to get anything out of this game, to be honest. But as the day went on, I don't know whether you were the same, but I just got more and more confident that something was going to happen. Like to the point where I put a bet builder on and all kinds of stuff for it, thinking this is on. And I've convinced myself that we're going to win this game. I've convinced myself we're going to score 3 goals. I wasn't fully convinced that we were going to go through, but I knew we were going to win the game. And then the game happened, and I was really, really disappointed because the better side won, and the better side didn't have to get out of second gear to win.
Yeah, it was one of them. One of the where they are. We were saying we did the podcast this week. I'm just sick of them. I'm sick of us not being better than them. And I was at the Bernabeu. I was watching it, and just some of the stuff they were able to pull out. And I can't fathom how Luka Modric is 1,000,000 years old, and Kroos is he's not that old, but he's not exactly a spring chicken anymore, and Benzema as well. Yeah, and these lads just look absolutely timeless when they're on the pitch. And it was one of them where we were left with needing something, like a bolt from the blue, just something out of nowhere to give it that jolt, and it never came.
They're too good for that, really. I think that's I called them on flatball a couple of times, and that's exactly what they are. Like, you know, you were right. The only reason anyone give us, and I was saying this all day as well, like similar to this, if it was anyone else, I wouldn't give them a chance because it's us. I give us a chance. Real Madrid don't give a fuck about it being us. They're just them. You know what I mean? They're the opposite. They never know when they're beaten, and they were confident. Like I said the other day, yesterday, it felt like if they wanted to at any point, they could have just went up the gears. So even if we'd have scored, I was thinking after like half an hour, even if we score, I think they could just go 5% more. There were times when Vinicius was running past people and then running back again. Like, if he really had to...
He went back at one point to take on Mo Salah for a laugh.
Just have another go at him. And it was like...
He'd skinned 3 players and then went, I missed one. I'll go get bingo.
Yeah.
And I always felt like...
We all had that one lad in school, didn't we?
Going back again.
Yeah.
I couldn't even get near them. I did feel like they could have upped it. There's a golfing class, unfortunately. That's all there is at the moment, and it's a stark difference because less than obviously the final last spring summer, they were very evenly matched. If anything, I think we were a better team in that game, other than their goalkeeper. To see you fast forward less than a year, and it was almost a bit like, I don't know, like they were taking the piss a little bit.
No, it does my head in that they go through like transition seasons. And they win the European Cup in a transition season. You know, they won't win the league, and the fans will probably have a cob on, but they won't. They'll still manage to do it.
That's the level of player, though.
Yeah.
There's a level of player that lets you do that. Like with our transitional periods, we're dying out for signings. The Real Madrid don't need to sign anyone. That team could play next year and they'd be all right. But they're gonna obviously go and sign people in the summer. But the level you got, they had 2 Ballon d'Or winners like in the same team. It is mad.
That is an incredible act of ventriloquism there, Terry. I thought you've absolutely fucking nailed that.
Did you say his name? Did he?
It's just amazing. What a talent. No.
I apologise.
That's fine. But yeah, look, we took our big swing with the starting 11. We really did. You know, we know Bacchetic was ruled out. Henderson wasn't taken. Thiago hadn't returned. He threw what he had. He threw the best at it to try and get something out that game, and it kind of showed. When it doesn't work with that, it's almost like it does send a bit of a message to everyone else. Going, well, I don't think you're good enough to be in the team that I think is capable of getting this up and running. So you're almost telling everyone that when you're making substitutions, we're making this side weaker for doing it.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's like been the script of the season, hasn't it? What we've been watching and stuff, and I know like the likes of Trent and that's been getting a hard time during the game, but I mean, if I'm Trent and I'm looking at Vinicius Jr. on the team sheets before I'm starting a game, I'm thinking you're my worst nightmare coming up, and I feel like it's a bit harsh, just everyone jumping on Trent's back in the sense of the squad and stuff like that, but he's just world class, like coming up against him, and he showed that last night, like taking on everyone, going back and forwards, even for his goal where he's just. For Benzema's goal, just so switched on in that little moment. Yeah, and it was a tough watch. Like just watching Alisson get absolutely peppered. Even that world class save kept us in it for a lot of good moments during the game. And yeah, it's just sad watching Liverpool like this because it's just not used to it.
Ancelotti called him the best player in the world, and I hadn't really considered that might be a thing before, but it isn't actually that wild a shout. Vinicius, really, that's the level of player he is. Like I hadn't thought about that he is, but he might be, you know.
Well, look, yeah, but like that's really depressing. So let's talk about something about our Liverpool player instead. I want to talk about Trent because he's the one lost under the most scrutiny, I think, post-match. I mean, everyone, again, we're back to hot take territory where everyone's got the player that they want to single out, and there's like small encampments around social media that's like, it's the Virgil van Dijk hill over there, and so on. Jamie Carragher obviously spoke about him on CBS, and that's led to him spending most of today kind of trying to justify what he's said. Do you think all the scrutiny is warranted? It's not a loaded question. I genuinely want to know your opinion.
Do you know, I think I was going to say it kind of applies broadly to the whole team and then Trent. And Real Madrid are just not subject to the absolutism that Liverpool and this team are right now. The narrative that I think we've got in England at the moment is you're either absolutely incredible and you're going to win the Premier League and you're going to challenge on all fronts, or you're having a terrible season. And that applies to City, it applies to Arsenal. It's like, are Arsenal really good or are Arsenal really terrible? Like, are they actually not that good?
Yeah.
Whereas when you go to Spain, I bet the narrative is just Madrid are just good, aren't they? Madrid are just, like, even when they're terrible, they just go, yeah, but Madrid are good. Because that's the narrative there. And I feel like everyone's sort of bought into this, and I feel like it's a really English thing at the moment. Is Trent amazing or is he terrible? Is the analysis of him that he's going to be like, if he has a game against Vinicius Junior where it's like the best player in the world potentially, do we then just go, yeah, we'll just cast him off? He hasn't done this thing right. He hasn't done that thing right. Despite the fact that we don't know what Klopp says to him, because he's clearly a player who reacts to the people around him. He clearly reacts to the leaders. He clearly reacts to the guys in the dressing room, but also the management. And the manager clearly trusts him at right back. So there's clearly something that we're missing, because it's not like when Trent goes back in, he goes, great performance, lads. Absolutely killed it out there. And everyone goes, yeah, sick. Really well done there, mate. That's good. He doesn't go back to Hendo, and Hendo goes, yeah, I thought it was all right, And Klopp clearly is not happy with the way the team are performing. So, yeah, broadly, I think that the criticisms are correct. But I think at the moment, a lot of the criticisms of Trent should go onto the training staff, should go onto the guys above them. And those guys should be the people who are getting the criticisms.
My concern with Trent, Chris, is going, Trent. That name in that intonation has entered into like how people discuss his performances. And I was surrounded by people in the ground last night who was just like, it's like the only name people knew. And obviously it's not. I know every player on the pitch, but it was like nobody else was getting moaned at. And of course, a lot of this is because their most dangerous outlet player is down his side, and he's also the guy charged with trying to make it happen for us with the passing as well. So when it goes wrong, he looks the most stupid when you're trying things, whatever. I'm not trying to defend. I don't think he had a flawless game, by the way, but that is a worry for me, is I think a lot of people have bought into the idea that he's a problem more than he maybe actually be a problem.
I'll be honest, right? I've done a show that's coming out tomorrow on Plus, about 30-minute deep dive into Trent Alexander-Arnold and his position stuff. So I don't want to tread too much over a lot of what we're doing tomorrow. But
are you going to absolutely destroy what I just said
now? No, try not to. You'll do that yourself later. But no, I'm joking, of course. Like, people look at the bad stuff that he does and not the good stuff.
Exactly.
And I think the problem for me on last night's performance alone was his attacking was shit, to be quite honest with you. And that's where I'm more disappointed in Trent's performance. Because I know he's a difference maker on the ball. I know he's not the best right back at defending in the world, and I don't expect him to be the best right back in the world. You know, Thierry Henry once said to Jamie Carragher quite famously, and not verbatim this is, but only if I get past you once, you can top me 9 times, but if I score the winner when I get past you once, you've had a shit game and I've had a great game. He's playing against Vinicius Junior, who's a world-class winger who goes past him. Trent switches off for the goal. I have no doubt about that, but I also think Ibu Konate's terrible for it. I think Virgil van Dijk doesn't do very well in it. I think Fabinho stood like a statue in the middle of the park for it, and yet Trent's the one that gets there. Are we talking about the one where Trent comes flying in and makes a goal-saving tackle?
Exactly.
No, we're not. Why not? Because we're focusing on the negatives of the player only and not the positives. Now, the negatives for me, as I say, for the most part yesterday, was every time he got in the final third, he overhit his cross, and it almost went out for a throw-in every time. And when you're in for being a creative player, that's the stuff that I'm going to judge you on, and that's why I think he didn't have a good game.
The thing for me was because I got to half-time, and I was, again, because I'd heard his name sighed so many times around me, I just wanted to have a little look at how Liverpool perform and the stats and what have you, because the general sense was a bit like they've had the better chances, but I felt like we'd done okay. And my thing that stood out for me with Trent was all the best passes that got us into dangerous areas all came from him. So we had the ball in the midfield and he had the ball. The amount of times where he just went and he just played something over top. And a couple of times it was slightly overhit or didn't quite make the man, but it was working to a degree for that. But this is the thing, Steve, it's hard to cast off those shackles of once someone sort of like tainted in people's minds, it's very hard to swing that back around again. And I don't think Trent's ever going to be the footballer that, if you think that he's not brilliant at defending or he's not a very good defender, to Chris's point, it's only going to take one. He could play 50 flawless games, but if he has one where he does switch off, people will go, said all along, see? Because people hold these things dear to their heart forever and ever and ever.
Yeah, I get your point, but on the flip side, it isn't just once though. He's switched off. He's been he isn't having a good season. He isn't the only Liverpool player having a bad season, but he isn't playing well. And you can kind of forgive the defensive laxness sometimes, or getting caught out of position or whatever, when he's doing 20 assists a season. It's all right to balance it out. When we can't score goals, we can't win games, and then he isn't defending well, then of course he is gonna get hit hard. So I'm with Chris. We accept what we get with Trent Alexander-Arnold. You know, a team might score. There might be five or six goals a season that come in because of him, but he's going to create 20 goals and he's going to help you score another 10 because he'll play the first pass or whatever. When that bit isn't happening, then you can't really forgive the second part, and that's where we're at with him right now. The things that I agree with the criticism is that he does switch off too much. He does need to wake up a little bit at times. He is a bit dozy. We've seen that all through the season. I don't think that's harsh to say. There are times when you just think, oh my God, someone just needs to shake him and go, for fuck's sake, there's a fella running behind you, chase him. Yeah. Or, get yourself back in. I don't think that's harsh to say that at all. He is only young, like he's going to get better. He'll be a better player in a couple of years' time than he is now. But it's the frustration of when you're playing poorly. And I think Virgil van Dijk fits into this category too of, in a great team when everything's looking brilliant, you applaud the casualness and you applaud the languid nature of it. But when you shit, it looks like fucking hell, mate, try. Yeah. You know what I mean? At least run. At least put a foot in. You see the goal that Bournemouth scored the other day. Virgil van Dijk's defender like that for his whole career. But because Liverpool are not playing as well and they score from it, oh my God. And that's where we're at right now. It feels like we're all a little bit on edge. Of course, you listen to seasons it's been a poor one. And it just feels like sometimes there'll be loads of people who'll be saying, I'd rather James Milner be right back because at least he'll smash somebody. And you won't get caught out of position. You might get done for pace, but he's not going to do it. And that's where we found ourselves now. We're at a point where because we're not playing well. I get Jamie Carragher's point on this. I think in a team that's struggling, Trent is an issue because his positives can't be accentuated. Yeah. Whereas if Liverpool are flying, mate, and you know there's runs and you're popping it off and all that, and he's got space to time. He'll be brilliant.
Well, I mentioned this a few weeks ago when we were talking about the evolution of the right back, and like Arsenal don't have a right back like that, and then City have, they had Cancelo and bin them off. They're trying something slightly different, or they experiment with some different things, but we're seeing a bit more of a return to just athletic fullbacks as opposed to really super skillful. Liverpool were the ones who pioneered almost like the creativity coming. Like Milner was doing it from left back. He was such a creative hope for what we were doing. My worry with this, Terry, is the point I'm kind of driving at is once it's hard to turn that tape around in people's minds is the hardest thing, because Trent's a brilliant footballer, but he's going to end up in a hole, and he's going to have to just get back to his world class level just to get back to like par for people. That's almost the Van Dijk's got this as well, where people stop talking about how world class Van Dijk is because you just expect that, and then it's like, well, what else is there? And that's almost Trent's biggest problem is now he can go back to getting 15 assists a season, but if people now have this idea that he's somehow a liability, it's going to be, unless Liverpool go back to where they're winning every game, it's going to be that's a tough tag to get out of people's minds. Yeah,
and it's like he's been a victim of his own standards really, because for the last 4 or 5 seasons we've watched him be absolutely incredible on the ball. He's literally a forward's dream. Put that ball in every day, you know that you're going to get something off him, and he's been so consistent. So to see him now where, let's have it right, like we haven't been firing on all fronts, have we, recently and stuff, and now to see him not getting like, all right, that's not quite working, but then the basics aren't working as well, I feel like he's just under the microscope a bit more as well towards people. So I kind of get the criticism being a bit harsh on him, but at the same time, I think, would anyone else in the Premier League get that criticism? Is it just because he's been so good at that role?
And look, the England thing, but that's the problem, it put him under the microscope for general football fans, to the point where, and I always talk about this, how like, I bet my father-in-law could tell me that Trent's got a problem with defending, he hasn't got a fucking clue about football, but he picks up his football knowledge via osmosis. He hears enough people talk about something, reads enough headlines on the backs of newspapers where he's flicking for, I don't know, presumably the crosswords or the politics section. Stop the boats and all that, like, you know what I mean? But yeah, he wants the boat stopped, and he knows that Trent's rubbish at defending. That's what we
Trent can't do it.
Yeah. But that's that kind of issue, isn't it, Laurence? It's kind of transcended his actual performances.
Yeah, but as easily, I think, because he's a Scouser, so that massively helps. So we will go to bat for him as Liverpool fans, no matter what other people say, really. Even if he was actually a terrible player, we'd probably still just be like, nah, he's amazing. And that's going to help him a lot. And broadly, I think people always go through these stages in their careers anyway, and I think he strikes me as the kind of person who does have a bigger picture, because I get it probably does get to you in the moment, but I always feel like whenever you chat to him, whenever you see him interviewed, all these kind of things, he seems like the kind of guy who's got the next 6 years mapped out, and he knows where he wants to go with it. He's probably got that from Klopp, and it seems to me like Klopp is sort of saying to them, you're going to go out there, you're going to play our system, and if you struggle in that system, we're hanging you out to dry. That's your fault, that's not my fault. So the basic there is, we're going to keep playing the system and you're just going to adapt to it. And to some extent that applies to all, and he's one of the leaders in the team who has to play through this, learning whatever it is in the total football idea.
My big thing with that for him is, it hasn't worked for me with Harvey Elliott on the inside of him. That's the big thing for me. And I think this is where, I probably disagree with some of Carragher's points, to be honest with you, because I think the manager is hanging him out to dry at times here, because you're now playing. Harvey Elliott's played in every game this season, so for the most part, Harvey Elliott's been over in that 8, probably more than any other player. And you got Mo Salah there who defends, but they're not defending as well from the front.
He's not really an 8 though, is he? Would be my argument.
Harvey Elliott,
yeah,
no, but he's definitely not Jordan Henderson 3 years ago.
That's
what we need. Isn't
I guess
it?
what I'm saying is, trying to add to your point, is like they're playing a 10 and an 8, and they're trying to make him play deep, and really he just lets people walk past. He doesn't let them. You can see he's trying. People just walk past him.
Do you think
that's the problem, isn't it?
Sorry, the evolution of what Jurgen's plan was, by the type of players he let go and the type of players he signed, and the fact that Thiago and Elliott were in his team for a while, but he wanted them when they were fit, they were both in his team. That midfield doesn't really complement Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Exactly.
But then, so what? Can you have both? Can you have your dynamic right back who's a little bit lax defender? We all agree, but he can set you 10 goals a season up. But in front of him, the way Jurgen signed players and whatever, or whoever it was to try and get the goals from midfield. You know what I mean?
Does last night not show you that though?
That's what I'm saying. It's a bit. It doesn't make. That's what doesn't add up in my head. It's like, okay, is Trent not being asked to be the creative force anymore? Because I'll be honest, if he's not, then you probably you can go get another guy.
But Trent is being asked to be the creative force still, and that's the difficulty that he's got. You look at the progressive passes from last night. He's top. He's got 10 progressive passes on the night, more than any other, as high as any other player. I think
so then the midfield doesn't suit him,
10 as well. Right, so that's what I'm saying. The midfield doesn't suit him. But I think Jurgen's thought, we're on a roll here. We can continue to dominate. Sure. I'm going to get more creative. And by going more creative, it tipped it the other way. Well, the balance is just not quite right.
It's 2009, 2010, sorry, it's getting rid of Arbeloa and putting Glenn Johnson in, and getting rid of Alonso and putting Aquilani in the hope that just having slightly more attacking players, you hope that all system you'll just get better.
But the balance is wrong, and that's unfortunate. And it's made worse by the fact that, he's having problems and Robertson's not. And Robertson's got more assists than Trent Alexander-Arnold this season. That's actually the clearest thing for me, is Trent Alexander-Arnold is giving you less going forward than Andy Robertson, but Andy Robertson isn't giving you mistakes at the back. Yeah. That's my problem, is that it's not Trent, it's how good is Andy Robertson at both of those things, and what's Robertson doing different that Trent isn't?
Well, when you was talking about Harvey Elliott in the midfield, I immediately went, well, Bernardo Silva plays in midfield for Man City, and no one ever goes. And Phil Foden plays in midfield for Man City, and Kevin De Bruyne plays everywhere.
And it's the problem that Liverpool have had this season. We don't win the ball back high up the pitch.
But moreover,
so it's all a knock-on effect from that.
But moreover, go back to your other point, is that if they've got Kyle Walker at right back, who's asked. Because if he gets caught up the pitch, he'll get back and cover it. It's no problem.
But people don't talk about Kyle Walker's deficiencies, which I always find weird. Yeah. You can actually see the top sides target Kyle Walker when they're looking for goals. Liverpool do that in every Man City game. They must be licking their lips when they see Kyle Walker at right back, because Liverpool have got so many goals from him. No one ever mentions it. No one ever goes, oh, by the way, teams really target Kyle Walker. In fact, you remember that Mitrovic goal? Was that the first game of the season or second? Yeah, first game. And everyone went, oh, it gets above him. I've got a compilation of like 5 different Kyle Walker goals where they get massively above him and he doesn't even try. Yeah. And everyone just goes, classic England right back, that guy, absolutely class. And you're like, not really, mate. I think there's loads of deficiencies to this guy, but no one mentions it.
And he gets his cock out in the pub.
Sure, I mean, but who hasn't? Yeah. But
yeah, fair point, yeah.
Yeah, but I think
is that a negative or part of his lad?
That's why Trent doesn't play for England.
But all of this must be justified. All of this must be justified in some way, because there's no way that Jurgen Klopp and Pep Linders look at that and go, right, well, this is a good thing that's happening here.
The flip side is, Loz, though, because Joe Gomez is injured and because Calvin Ramsey is a hologram, can't change him.
Sure.
That's the thing. We don't know. They might
They
not
did
be
though, didn't they field Milner for one game? There was
Yeah,
like
they
one
did.
game where
Like
Milner
Milner
started.
played
He's
the
still
City game,
but
did
then
he?
Milner's in midfield now because you've got no midfielders. That's the thing.
Right,
It might
he's
just
a
be,
hologram,
and you could even say this about Van Dijk. Really, there would be scope if you had the players available just to bench them for the game or something. It's different with Virgil because, but like we haven't got the option to do that at the moment.
I
So
get that.
that's another thing as well. It's like he might be fuming at Alexander-Arnold, but then he's like, fucking hell, what else am I going to do? Right, Trent back in. You're back in again.
Sure.
It's a problem.
I get that. Joe Gomez was the one though that made me realise that Klopp was hanging players out to dry and didn't really care what it was that happened to them. It was the system was going to be the thing. Because I was in Naples, you guys probably were as well, when we got absolutely killed. And I just remember, like, everyone was just around us, just going. There weren't that many Liverpool fans there, but even Napoli fans were like, "Why didn't he sub him off?" And we were like, "We don't know. We don't like it. He's just keep playing him there." So there's clearly a persistence with this new idea that I also think is upsetting the players a little bit, because then when there was Brighton away as well, that you could, the first time I've ever seen this at a game, by the way, Jordan Henderson and other players shaking their heads whilst playing the football. Like, he had the ball at his feet and he was going like that. And I was just like, that is insane to see. So the players were actively like, we aren't happy in what is happening here. That I've never seen that before under Klopp.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. It's the big thing to face. We don't know because we look at the very, very brief glimpses we've had of Calvin Ramsey. Looks more like what we're talking about. He looks like a powerhouse runner down the flank, and Gomez has looked good at right back, at times, and I could see well where you do, and it leads us to the inevitable conversation. I've always been resistant to talking about Trent as playing anywhere else on the field, but this is goes back to the point you were kind of making before, and Carragher's making, is if Liverpool are going to evolve the midfield, then you probably do need a bit more stability in the right back area. But then the question is, Trent's such a talent. Where do you put him? Because
especially if you sign Jude.
Yeah, does he have the engine for an 8?
I don't think you do evolve. I think you devolve. I think you go back to what was working. You put an industrious midfield in place, and you put a high press back in, and then you get to play a right back who's a creator. I think everyone's obsessed with moving forwards all the time. Well, hang on a minute. Last season we were pretty fucking good, you know.
Yeah.
We were 2 games away from immortality, and we've moved too far away from that.
The two midfielders being linked with Bellingham and Mount are the two high. They are high energy players. Both, I mean, they're really good players. Bellingham in particular, but like if you say Mason Mount's qualities, it probably is. They work right more than the. So it feels like maybe that's on his mind. Yeah, because I didn't do it a few weeks ago in the press conference. I thought we were going to have problems this season based on last season and what we went through, and then we knew we were losing Sadio, and you can't replace him, so you've got to get a youngster in. It feels to me like he half expected a bit of a drop off, but then the injuries, all that kind of situation has killed him a little bit. But I wouldn't be shocked in the summer. We're all crying out for midfielders. Oh, where's the creativity in this team? I'd be shocked if it's. If Liverpool went and signed like you say, Bernardo Silva or whoever it is, like a real number 10.
That'd be a good sign. Actually, we should try that.
Potentially, yeah.
Would you rather us buy a boss right back and move Trent into midfield, or buy a boss midfield, albeit a more industrious one, and keep Trent at right back?
I'd rather be a boss midfielder all day. I think Trent's one of the best players on the pitch when he's on his day, and you build your team around your best players. His stats speak for himself in that sense. So definitely get an engine in the middle, get someone doing the doggies, all the dirty work that no one wants to do, and let Trent play his game.
Yeah.
Do you not think it's also that mix though? Like, we do need someone industrious, but like people keep crying out for Gini Wijnaldum. Hendo, when he was good, was more than just someone who just did work. Like there was other stuff he was doing out on the field that was like not creative, but just kept it going. Like if you get I think they want to go to a 2-man midfield and then like get Cody Gakpo maybe a bit deeper. So maybe they will go to a 2-man midfield. If they do that, that just shores up so many of the other issues in the side.
Yeah.
But my only issue with that is if we sign one player, maybe 2 midfielders, we're still light in midfield.
The problem is that we don't know what the plan is, and I hope that they know what the plan is, because it does feel like they flip-flopped a little bit in the last 12 months.
Do you think the plan hinges, though, on something that is a risk, which is basically Jude Bellingham, which is like, that's a massive flip. I don't know, maybe they know they clearly know something we don't.
I think they're pretty confident that he's a done deal.
But mate, everyone that I speak... So I spoke to Real Madrid reporters, and they go, he's definitely signing here. I literally speak to people at Man City, and they're like, yeah, definitely. Haaland's going around saying it. And then you speak to people at Liverpool, and they're all going, "Yeah, I think, don't mention that because that's for next season, mate. Don't mention Jude now. We're all saving the money." Like, that's the mental thing, is every team think they've got him. Yeah. So either Jude Bellingham has told one team and he really means it, or no one knows.
It's like the bit in Jerry Maguire all over again, isn't it?
Show me the Champions League spot.
Show me your top four players.
Yeah,
it's not quite as catchy, but yeah. Really interesting to see. We had a few comments on the Trent situation. Mr. Food says Trent always couldn't defend. We know that. Cloptimistic Free World says it's the hair. Get rid, please, Trent.
No, because he looks like an 8-year-old without that hair.
It is mad. It feels like he's always had that hair now. When you watch him 2 seasons ago, I was like, oh, yeah, look at the child there.
He looks like a kid.
I think he looks good, but maybe just give it a chance. Yeah, Chris and his Scouse Bears is right. Trent, cut your bloody hair. Really, people really took this and ran with it. Shredder, who has the maddest hair?
You've got to upload your own hair.
Yeah.
Upload your own hair if you're doing this. Because I know I can't talk. You're a good-looking guy. You can't talk. You can't talk. And that's been the same. That's like Lego hair as far as I'm concerned.
I got off all right there.
It's only because you're bigger than him and you sat next to him.
Because you're big, that's why.
Yeah, absolutely.
Imagine it was a case of it was just hair that was making him shit. Imagine they found out like in April, it was the hair, and he cut his hair off and he just was brilliant again.
Like Samson.
The reverse Samson.
We would be so pissed off at him.
Yeah.
Why couldn't someone figure this out in August, please?
I had a bit when I was playing in goal, and I had the in between long hair before it was long enough to tie back, but not, you know. And I did an Alice band for a while playing Sunday League in Sheffield. It was hilarious. Like, yeah, and
that went down really well in Sheffield.
Yeah. So I got it
in the early noughties.
Yeah. I used to do like the short sleeve shirt thing as well, because fucking why not?
As a goalkeeper,
yeah.
Short sleeve shirt, Alice band, Sheffield.
Wearing my Liverpool home shirt in goal. I got wolf whistled and called Patrick Berger, which I didn't see as an insult. But that thing of like, someone was running down in goal and I had to wipe my hair out of my eyes before the attack. Like, yeah, but it's mattered to you at this point, so there's no, like, it's like you're literally like scraping it out your eyes. But that's, yeah, it can't be good. It's gotta, maybe it's all in the hair.
Alisson's the only guy really that could get away with like long hair and he just looked amazing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He's a handsome man.
He's good. Like, it's insane.
We have a super chat. William Simmons says, "Hey all, we've sat on our butts making no signings while everyone else around us has improved. We need a whole new midfield, in my opinion."
See, we're getting one.
I think so. Also, the notes. This is the thing I disagree with. People did make signings.
Yeah,
they did. They broke the record transfer fee for a signing. It's just, they didn't do it enough of them. But Lars is right. We all know they didn't spend them on a midfielder last summer because they were safe, because they wanted the fella they want this summer coming. I don't think Liverpool ever expected, I don't know if you agree, that they wouldn't be in the top 4 next season. And that isn't even an issue. Like, we'll get Jude Bellingham because we'll be playing in the Champions League and it'll all be sound. And it's only now, you're right, the plan. If that is the plan, that's now where it feels a little bit.
Yeah. I think that's right. I don't think anyone, because it was like the stats doing the rounds, and I was going on shows at the start of the season going, don't even worry about it. Like, Arsenal will get nowhere near the title because there's never that big a point swing. Like, teams don't drop off by more than 10 points a season in one particular season, and teams don't make that much net improvement.
We've nailed that.
And we've done it fucking 2 seasons in the last 4 where we've absolutely fucked ourselves for a variety of potentially other reasons. But yeah, I mean, and that's probably why this season falls a bit on deaf ears, is that because we did it 2 years ago, we were a bit forgiving of it then, whereas now there's so many other bits and pieces around it. It all feels like, I can't have another one of them in my life, so I refuse to. I'm just going to be fucking dead cross with it instead.
We're not really good after that terrible season, though.
Shocking. Yeah. Yes, we were. Anyway, Nadir Kafel says, what happened to Calvin Ramsey? He's dead.
Yeah, he was injured when we signed him, which was a bit stupid.
His youth team stuff, though, looked great.
Yeah. He looked, I say, with the little sprinkling smatterings of Calvin Ramsey we've had in our life, looked very impressive, but that was all we can say about that, unfortunately. Yeah, no idea. Would you play Trent in midfield, and if so, what position would you play him in? Let us know in the comments underneath. We're going to take a very short break. When we return, we're going to try and lift the mood a bit. We're going to go through, not cry that Bobby Firmino's leaving us, but we're going to look back on some of his best moments as a Liverpool player.
He'll never play in the Champions League for us again, Paul.
He might come back at the end of his career.
Right, Sal. Anyway, fuck you. Break, and then we'll be back. If you had to guess which person on the couch went for a wee in that break and has yet to return, who would you guess? Let me know in the comments. I'm going to give a shout out to the person who gets to person or persons that get it right. I expect you all to get it right, if I'm being brutally honest on this. And yes, I am filling for time while they do return. I just want to say a huge thank you to Malta, the OLFC Supporters Club of the Week. If you want to get featured on the show, either interact at theredmentv.com. You can get involved. Your flyers undone.
Okay.
Only metal. Welcome back. Everyone's in. Who do we think it was then? Who do we think it was? Is it the man who's just decided now to get himself a bevy? Was it Steve? Was it Teddy? Was it Loz? Yeah, we'll see if anyone. Yeah, Rachel Todd, Chris. Oh, Brace Deville said steak. APO6 is Chris, surely. Yeah. It was a lot of Chris's and Steve's, to be perfectly honest.
Really, I got that as well. Yeah. It wasn't going to be one of the guests, was it? No, it was unlikely.
It could have been me.
Yeah.
Small bladder. Yeah, I think I've heard that before.
Big heart. What was that art?
You can't store it up there though, can you?
Right, okay. Roberto Firmino announced, kind of via his agents and media and all that, at the back end of the week, and since been confirmed that he is going to be leaving Liverpool at the end of the season. So first of all, yeah, we haven't really spoke about it too much. Steve, is a bit kind of, it's sad, and yet I don't know. It's at the same time I don't feel truly devastated by it. I mean, I've spent this afternoon watching his highlight reels back, and that's made me feel more sad. But I think there's going to be a tremendous send off for him regardless. But yeah, it does feel like Mane going was a thing, but Roberto Firmino he was there before both him and Salah. He is the guy. Oh yeah, exactly, before the manager. Yeah, it is a bit. That's proper end of an era stuff.
Yeah, it is. But it does feel like it's the time. At the time, it feels about right. It makes the Cody Gakpo sign and make a bit more sense as well, I suppose. But the interesting one is, like I say, it wasn't Liverpool's decision. Liverpool wanted him to stay. It's his decision. But it does feel about right. You know, 8 seasons, eight amazing seasons. But when Sadio said he was leaving, I was like genuinely gutted, because I thought that's going to have a direct impact on the team. And I mean this with all due respect to Roberto Firmino. I don't think it will now. Mm-hmm. You know, if this had been 4 years ago, then I'd have been like, oh my God. Because there was talks at the time, remember, Juventus, there was real strong Juventus links around the time of his last contract, and that frankly, that didn't come to fruition. But now, yeah, it feels like Liverpool, I'm not going to say I've moved past Roberto Firmino, because like, we're a bit shit, but in theory, when everything's working, I think it should all be fine. So the timing feels right for everyone, really. You know, you forget, like, he's only in his early 30s. He's going to go somewhere. He's going to play for 4 or 5 more years. He's Liverpool's 6th choice forward when everyone's fit. It makes sense that he doesn't want to be here no more. He shouldn't want to be here, but it's like more of a happy send off than you know, the crying. It's not like Fernando Torres or Luis Suarez leaving when you were fuck. It's a bit more like, okay, nice one. We're going to give you the round of applause, and you'll enjoy yourself and all that kind of thing.
Yeah,
we got the best years out of Roberto Firmino. That's the other thing as well, isn't it? And we know we've got the best years out of Roberto Firmino. The big thing for me was when Wijnaldum left. That was the start of breaking up with the best team I've ever seen. So, but now we're obviously a few players down the line. Obviously, we've seen Origi go, and we've all had to bury that one deep inside, unfortunately. Obviously, Sadio Mane and stuff. Firmino's the one for me when I think about it, though, that he changed the game. Like, we talk about Trent Alexander-Arnold as a right-back. He's the reason that we went 4-3-3. I'm convinced of that. And he's the reason that we managed to get 2 world-class goal scorers in our side at the same time, while having him central and the goal scorers coming from wide. And it fucked everyone up for about 3 seasons. They didn't know how to deal with it. And that's the difference for me, is everyone wanted to play 4-2-3-1, but they didn't have Bobby Firmino, and Liverpool did, and we were able to go 4-3-3, and no one could deal with it. And now teams have started to find players who can sort of maybe replicate that at times. I don't think they've ever really done it quite as well. So he's one way, he's changed the absolute game. If we can teach Gakpo a little bit about what that position's like, brilliant. But he's not the player that he was, Roberto Firmino. He'll give you good moments still between now and the end of the season, and he'll go on and have a great career. But is he going to be the centre-forward leading the line in European champions again? No, he's not. So that means it's probably the right time to move him on, because that's what we want to be. And if he can't do that for you, move him on. Yeah. There's absolutely nothing wrong. Real Madrid, actually, talking about last night's game, I will shut up in a second, so apologies. They're really good at moving on at the right time from players. Liverpool have been terrible at it. Yeah. Liverpool need to learn how to move on from players and get better, because that's one thing that I don't think we've done well at all.
Yeah, there's a reason Casemiro's at all top now, isn't he? Because they'd already replaced them with 2 brilliant players.
Because they'd run the luck and not getting no straight reds in his time at Real Madrid. They knew 2 was coming really quick.
They had it all sorts out. Yeah, they'd read the script. But you're right. Like that's the thing. For me, it was the system. I don't think Jürgen, like, when he was at Dortmund, he did play more of a number 10 and 1 up front, and then he got here. One of the first things he did, after saying he loves Christian Benteke and he wants to sign him, was never play Christian Benteke. Just stuck Bobby Firmino up front, and we're on to something here. It was a little bit different.
You look loads faster on the telly.
I'm sure. Yeah, I only ever watched you play against Liverpool. You were fucking brilliant. Yeah. Sounds like you was crap. So then he got the team that he wanted, and it all stemmed around Roberto Firmino. But the game's moved on. I also think, I said before, he's only in his early 30s. We fucking ran that fella into, you know what I mean? Yeah. He's an old 31 or whatever he is, because he's done some serious work.
You're going to see, aren't you, I think, in the next couple of years, Terry, like, we've seen it with Wijnaldum already. Look, he got a leg break. But obviously he hasn't really gone on and done more. We've done that. We extracted all the juice you were really going to get out of Gini Wijnaldum. You'll see the same. Mane and Wijnaldum will go down that path, and we'll have more and more of that happen. And that will happen to Firmino. It'll be interesting to see what his next move is, because there's talk linking him to Turkey. There's talk linking him to, like, the MLS. I don't know what about you, like, where you'd like to see him go, but I've got this. I'd love to see him go to, like, a really, like, flashy MLS team and just absolutely don that competition.
Yeah, I'd love to see him go somewhere like that and tear him up. Like, it's terrible for me. I'm absolutely gutted, because it looks like he's definitely on his way out, isn't it? But like these lads have said here, he just epitomised the way we played for many years, and he seemed to be the one who shaped it all from the start, with the press, everything going forward, unlocking everything for the wingers. And yeah, it's a real blow to see him go, but at the same time, it's the right time for him to move on.
He's a genius. He's a football genius. And I remember doing something for, I think it might have been Lab Bible a while ago, and arguing the case for Firmino being in a team, and saying, like, honestly, he's a genius. Like, people, hopefully, in years to come, when that tribalism's faded a bit, when people aren't as like, oh, he plays for Liverpool, so therefore he's not as good as the player that we've got in our team. I think people will look back on his time in the Premier League like they look at Bergkamp and like they look at Zola. Those type of players who weren't goal machines.
He's probably done more.
Yeah. And it shows how much, like, Klopp said of him, wasn't it? Like, what was the quote back in the day where he said about Salah and Mane, like, world class sometimes, but not all the time. And he said Roberto Firmino, world class pretty much all the time, wasn't it? And it did sum it up during his best years with us.
Yeah, 100%. Let's talk through some of our best memories then. I'll go from Laurence around. Have you got a favourite Roberto Firmino moment?
I love his celebrations, but
they were just wild.
They were just wild. But also, do you know, that really feeds into the point that everyone's talking about what he does on the field. You know, when Alisson first signed for Liverpool, there's that video of him, like, baptising Alisson, and they're both sobbing together. And I was like, by the way, that's not a euphemism. He is literally baptising Alisson in this video. And they're, like, sobbing together, holding each other. And you know, when you see behind the scenes stuff, he's always like one of those guys who's involved in, like, starting the dance or those kind of things. You need those kind of, that's a different kind of leadership that's like, we kind of lack a little bit when he's injured and those kind of things. And, you know, Nuno seems like a cool guy and Hakpo seems kind of similar, but they both seem like a bit young and awkward at the moment. And Bobby's like one of those guys who sort of brings people out of themselves. And we keep talking about people like Alisson leaving and people like that. I'm like, what if he does want to go? Because he loves hanging out with the other Brazilian guys and like all that sort of stuff.
When I found out that he was leaving as well, I seen that clip of him playing on the piano while LA.
Yeah.
He was cutting onions in here.
Yeah.
He's just weird, and I love that because there's some people I think you know spot them a mile, people who try to be something, and it passes for a lot of people. And for some people, you see straight through it. You can't see through Roberto Firmino. It's just because he's just like that.
Because his eyes are blinding you. Like
his
teeth are there, and then he's literally like, "What is going on?"
Yeah, genuinely. He's just he's an actual one of a kind in the way that I think a lot of people think people are, but he genuinely is. As I say, like baptisms and mad clobber and is playing the piano and is doing all these kind of things. That like if he was an English lad, everyone would fucking hate him.
Yeah.
Like, because he'd be like a bit
Cavalier.
Yeah, he'd be Cavalier or Beckham or
Grealish.
Grealish. Yeah. But he's Brazilian and he's a bit mad. He is that like I used to watch this in the past, like the B Sharps episode of The Simpsons, where it's like Barney and it's like a Yoko Ono comparison, and you get to be in and she gets a single plum floating in perfume served inside a man's hat, and like you just know that's what he has. That's the kind of thing that Bobby Firmino would have to drink if he went in a bar.
It's the thing that I think really sets him apart is partly he's gone under the radar for his whole career, so people don't rate him, and so that's why he never really got that like focus, and no one ever went he's rubbish or like whatever. It's his no look thing. The no look finishes, that's the kind of thing that every fan base goes, that's got to go straight away because he'll miss one of those. He's done like 15 or 20 no look finishes in his time at Liverpool, where it's not only that, but he's blatantly like, you know, he's one of those people he's got like weird eyes when you look at them, like not bad, but just like that he can't look you straight in the eye. Even if he looked at you, you're looking at a painting. In that moment, you see him, his eyes aren't even looking at the keeper, and he's staring at the keeper going,
Yeah.
if you took a shot and it was a still, in that moment, he's looking that way and doing that to the keeper, and it ball's in. That, like, there's no other Premier League player that does that amount of, like, you know, step overs, shit like that. No one else, everyone else goes, oh, no, nah, don't like that. He's the only one where you're like, not in our game.
But we used to say, anyone who had like a pre-programmed celebration. So any footballer who had like a flip as a celebration. So Everton had Peter Beagley, and he never scored. Djibril Cissé had one of them as well for a bit, and probably decided that his calves went quite up to it at one point or another. But
what gave him that impression?
But whenever you had someone whenever they think, I think, about what their celebration's going to be, you always find that they're the kind of players who flop. Whereas I don't think Roberto Firmino ever really thinks about what he's going to be doing. He just exists. Yeah, exactly. That like the eye patch celebration.
Karate kicks when other people are
that was amazing.
Scoring.
When he had to stop taking his top off because he was getting too many yellows,
Yeah.
he pulled it back down after he bagged.
But he started making it like a joke. So initially he goes to take it off and catch himself, and then go, no. You're like, oh, Bobby,
Like he's in front of the mirror. No, Bobby.
Pulled the shorts. He pulled the shorts down once.
Yeah.
Pulled the shorts down.
did.
Yeah, just like
Did a little
that
wiggle.
as well. He's an insane person, but he
is.
he's an absolute maverick. I said, like, he's like the Jared Leto version of the Joker, like the borderline psychotic one, but he's just about you'll get away with it.
He's what they wanted that Joker to be. If it wasn't played by Jared Leto, who was quite clearly a huge knob.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I mean, that's exactly what that would have been like. Right, okay, well, let's moments. We want to go through some. You haven't got any more football related?
It's mad because Lars is right. Like, it's mad because he's Liverpool's number 9, right? And everything, like, all his best moments aren't goals, and they really should be. I always go back to the assist to Mo Salah against Newcastle when he just absolutely takes the piss with a little like Rabone.
He like stands on it, doesn't
it's
he?
outrageous. Flicks it round the corner. It's stupid.
Good
and
finish
then
from Mo as well. That was.
And then Soldado when he sends him against Villarreal. They're the type of moment you think. And put on his wife's vagina on Instagram. They're the 3 things.
And then he was a meme, weren't he? With his
They're the
face
3
like
things I
that.
remember.
For a while. Remember that one? When he was like that? Was that when it was like a little rift between Salah and Manny or something? And he was like,
barely away when they're fighting, and he's like,
he's just there like that with his baby.
So he's the meme, and we're putting his wife's unsolicited nudes on Instagram by accident. That's what I remember him for.
I don't remember that.
He took a selfie of him and his missus, and
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's one where
Salah's penis.
it's an important lesson that anyone who's in a partnership should always know, is that you always clear, if your partner's in the photo, always clear it with them before it goes on social media.
Because you're not looking at that.
Obviously not.
Even if they don't have their genitalia out in it, just clear the photo.
But
especially if they do.
If you set that as your base level, Loz, you'll never accidentally put your partner's genitalia.
He might have.
He
might have.
We're saying it was an accident. Yeah.
He might have.
He's insane. She's insane.
Mental. Yeah. Behind every crazy man, there's a crazy woman. You know what I mean? Because also, he's playing piano and she's gone, I'm going to go outside and film this. She's like 50 feet away from the guy. That's the mental thing in it. He's not gone, come a little bit closer. That's much better. Instead, she's like filming him like some sort of pervert through those so weird.
I'll pretend to be a drone outside. Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Fine.
They were playing John and Yoko again. That was it. He's doing like a mansion at the piano, and she's sneaking in behind him, like to ruin the Beatles. No, that was a different thing.
Moreno's going past with his Segway and his dog.
Just amazing. I want to throw in the goal against Stoke, 2016-17.
Yeah, it was a good finish.
Ridiculous.
He did take a stop off that one.
Yeah.
He did.
Rightly so, though.
And he ran around like a lunatic after it. And it's mad because me and Tom went to that game, and that was the one where we started. Trent and Woodburn, and they both were absolutely, they all hung out to dry. And then we just like...
Did we go 3 at the back in that game?
Yeah. And we sent the cavalry on of Coutinho and Firmino at half time. And... well, again, being in the away end for that, and I had a couple of bad memories at the old Britannia or whatever the hell it was called at that point. You know what, it genuinely doesn't matter.
Bet 390.
The bet
365.
whatever. The bet fucking whatever. The bleached seat stadium. And the ball just drops. And he
doesn't even touch it. He looks at it and goes, I think I'll get this on the volley. As it comes over him. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And he smashes it in. It's one of those ones that loops over, and there's already the smoke going off from before from Coutinho's, and it just goes nuts again. He's running around, and it's one of those ones that stands in my mind because we went outside to film afterwards, and there's a guy called the Harry Potter, and if anyone's ever seen the video, will know what I'm talking about. He's like big hairy fella. He literally has the big Stoke shirt on that's plastered to him with Harry Potter on the back, and he was going, "Them Fleurs were a disgrace," and I couldn't keep a straight face because Bobby Firmino just got an absolute screamer and all was well.
I think one of my favourites was that back heel assist against Southampton in the orange kit, where he flicks it over a fella's foot as on the turn first. It's a 1-2 with Salah, and it's ridiculous. Like, it's just stupid, and a bit like the Newcastle one you were talking about. He's done things on a football field I never thought. Remember the one was it Darwin this season? Where he just...
Rangers, is it?
Where he just goes like that for no reason.
Absolutely no reason.
He could have just played the pass normally, and I'm sure he could have played.
Didn't he meg someone
on
the... Was it Chelsea when he megged someone when he was on the floor? Like, he was sat on his arse and megged someone. I think, though, everyone thinks the PSG goal because the eye thing as well, which is a... That's probably his iconic moment in that, in terms of, like, winning stuff as well. But I always go back to the Arsenal goal where he has, like, lads just on the floor.
Oh, mate,
it's like a painting. When there's just like...
It's like that photo
random
in
lads
Manchester City Centre, isn't it? Where it's like everyone's falling back and being sick in the corner.
There's just random lads in teal just spread across Anfield, and he's just whizzing through them all. And they just scored, and I think they scored, and then we went 2-1 really, really quickly the other way. But they can't get near him. They are literally falling over themselves, and he's just twisting and turning them.
His other goal, he's got Mustafi doing a pirouette like that. Yeah. And then that goal, he's got Torreira just doing a belly slide like he's in Mallorca. I think my favourite one is against City, the one against John Stones, where he comes in behind him. Absolute tricep. See you later. Thanks for coming. And then he just does the little dink over the sides, like the Robbie Fowler. It's like Robbie Fowler's, isn't it? It's like carbon coffee.
Goes in, doesn't it?
Beautiful. Yeah,
he's strong. That's the deceptive thing about him, because he's standing there smiling, and like, I don't know if he is smiling or if his teeth just like come out his mouth, but like he's smiling the whole time. The alien. They're just there. You can't miss them, so you just think he's smiling. And then I imagine other people for that reason underestimate him. But I bet if you like shook his hand, you could feel how strong he is. He's just that kind of player. And because he's Brazilian, everyone like thinks he might be like light and just like easy to knock off the ball. But he's built like Gilberto Silva.
Also, like in that position when you drop in as a striker, that's a, it's a nightmare for defenders, but also it gives them a free go to just belt you.
Yeah.
And the amount of times people just went, and he just gets up. More, I mean, he just get on, or he couldn't.
And smiles at you.
Just like, well, he might not get it. He might be really angry. It'd be really hard to be a parent if you're Roberto Firmino, because your kids just think you're smiling all the time, and it turns out you're not. No, you're really angry. But like, you get whacked, and you'd hold them off, or he'd just get back up again. Like really, Brazilian centre forward, every centre half, like I'm fucking having you. But Loz is right. He was deceptively strong.
That's demoralising, though.
Yeah. I think one of the things you've got to put in a top 5, by the way, is him winning us the Club World Cup.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he scores the goal that sends us into the final for a start, and then he scores the goal that wins us it.
Even the winning
That's
goal.
got to be it. No other Liverpool player's done that.
Yeah.
History maker.
Composed as well. What a finish.
He took ages.
Can we all be honest? He took too fucking long to finish that goal for
I went the bog. He came back. Spoiler.
It was. I remember he done something similar against Leicester once, when he had an open goal, and for some reason he just took ages to score it. It's like he wanted to make it more difficult for himself.
Because it's the hope that kills them. He gives them the hope and then watches as he puts it in the back of there as the hope fades away. That's why he does the no-look thing.
Yeah. He's astonishing, absolutely. And the thing as well, because it was a huge game for Flamengo, and they showed how much that competition meant. They were bang up for it. They still had like a mad rivalry with us from the 80s when we played them the last time. And it obviously means to the South Americans, the Club World Cup means so much more than it means to the Europeans. And for Bobby Firmino to be our South American representative, almost being the guy who did it, and you know that's the kind of goal that will have him remembered back home more than half of the stuff that he's done for us, more than maybe some of his antics in European competition for us. Or
also, great song.
Yeah.
The song's fish.
The song's outrageously good. It's the pantheon of Liverpool songs. It's right at the top.
Yeah.
It's an
when you get
song.
a good 10-15 minutes of the Si Senor song, there ain't a better atmosphere.
Yeah.
Great song.
Yeah. We had some super chats just on the general Bobby theme. Scott Hawks, the man, the legend. Bobby to the States. I'll watch him play for San Jose every week and finally give a crap about the MLS. He is the kind of guy that would genuinely make you more interested.
San Jose, the Earthquakes.
Could be.
Is it? Yeah. It's something like that, isn't it? Which is a bit of a... I'm surprised they've not been cancelled for that by now. Like, that's the kind of name where you get cancelled for that. Because it's really insensitive.
The Mexico City mudslides, like that wouldn't fly, would it?
Yeah.
So are we letting the earthquakes for your things? What natural disaster did you draw the line for an MLS?
I would go with like mass shootings would probably be one for America. In MLS, where it's like the Cincinnati shooters or something like that.
Yeah, is that why the certain states where they can't show the cartoon The Hurricanes over in the States as
By the
well?
way, an amazing cartoon.
Amazing cartoon.
Like, yeah, that is.
Liam Bento says, I'll miss Bobby's special goal celebration that he has with Virgil. I miss them all. The special thing.
Do you know one of the best ones he did was was it against Palace when we had fans in the ground and for the first time and he runs the whole length of the pitch.
That was Tottenham when Tim Sherwood said there was no danger off this header, and then we scored the header.
No, there's the one. It was the one where I thought it was because we had like a small section of fans in for that game. That was like the trial thing.
And he ran the whole length of the pitch. It was
pace like we've never seen before.
Honestly, turn a pace. Like, where's that been for the last 10 years, Bobby? Like, absolutely sprinted
Saves
down.
it for celebrations. That's what you want to do.
Yeah, I think typified Roberto Firmino was saving his pace.
Left like a fucking salmon and ran foot. Like, where's that been? Like fucking Cristiano Ronaldo.
But do you know the great thing about him is, and I think I really enjoy watching players like this, in an era where it's all about like numbers and like, can you quantify how good this guy is? He is like a bit mysterious and like does weird stuff that clearly everyone else loves. And actual professionals, like he's like a professionals player.
Well, all the Liverpool players say he was the best player.
Yeah, exactly.
He was everyone's favourite player in the team, or the best player they all looked up to.
So who's that now? Who takes up that mantle in the team?
Who's yours?
I mean, I don't know the guys, so I can't really say. I wish I did, but I don't. You hope there's someone with that like leadership personality in there, because there is a lot of very sincere leaders at Liverpool. And he seems like the kind of guy who takes it seriously, but he's always in the background laughing in a celebration, or there's always something going on.
What was it Klopp said, sorry, about where like if you watch the game, you don't see Bobby, but if you watch Bobby, you see the whole game.
Yeah,
that was it, wasn't it? Like,
that's the thing about Firmino does. We say Henderson was kind of like Klopp on the pitch in that there's a guy and he's going to go and give his absolute all for the cause, you know, bleed out onto the pitch. But Bobby is like the embodiment of the spirit of Jurgen Klopp in so much as how he conducts himself. You go and absolutely you work your bollocks off, but if it doesn't go right, you laugh your head off.
Yeah.
And then you go and crack on again, and that's something that gets lost. I mean, obviously, same smile and everything, but that's it's an X factor that we won't consider when he's gone. Is you need to have lads. It's a fine balance between not taking it too seriously and not taking it seriously enough. And Firmino's always kind of tread that line, whereas you never see him really angry or wound up by anything. But he doesn't, like, as we say, he's not one of those. He's not a flake. And you can imagine that there's players who've had his skill levels, but like, when the nitty gritty happens, they're not asked.
He's a great sub though. Like, I'd imagine if you see him coming on, you're like, oh, number 9 coming on, that's terrible. And he does seem like that kind of player that the opposition guys probably are like relieved he's not in the team or relieved they're not playing against. Because again, other people, you're like, oh, I know what your thing is. He could just do something mental to you and you're suddenly a meme. Yeah. And that is scary for a centre-back or a full-back.
I want to do 2 mentions. Obviously, one just on pure recency. Scores the 7th against United.
That was the most emotional I've seen him.
Yeah.
Like usually he's a chill guy. He lost his fucking shit. Yeah. And right, understandably so as well. By the way, after the week he'd had, I'm guessing it wasn't the easiest week for him. See, Jürgen, the conversation just a couple of days earlier, but he like. That was like how I'd celebrate a goal if I scored for Liverpool against Man United. Just went absolutely bonkers, but we've never really seen that from him before.
Yeah, no, 100%. And the other one is not so much a moment, but it's actually a moment in time. It's sort of, Chris sort of alluded to it before, but we beat City 4-1 in Klopp's first season. And we might play him in the false 9 before that, but I always remember that as being the game where he kind of is reborn as a Liverpool player.
I think that might be the first time.
Might, it's in my head as that, but I haven't got that verified. But he sets up the first goal. It's an own goal by Mangala, but it is brilliance to get him in there. He sets up the second one and then scores the third one. He nearly scores another 2 in that game, and then obviously Skrtel puts it to bed at the end. But watching that back, he was just electric, and it was like he clicked. It was like he made sense because up to that point, I mean, Rodgers hadn't really wanted him by all accounts. He played him out wide on the right, and he just didn't fit at all. And we're like, well, what have we bought here? Benteke's the one we should be building everything around, a big target man.
Maybe if we had.
Oh God. And then Jürgen comes in and obviously has a little look and goes, yeah, as you say, let's try him in that. And that City game set the blueprint for basically everything that followed afterwards. Like, once you can do that with the players, like you'd have had Lallana on the right and Coutinho on the left of him, and there'll have been times when like Sturridge would have been floating around in that as well, and they've gone, right, this is what we build around. And people often credit like Mane coming in as the one that kickstarted, but in reality, you go back to that Man City game, that's when when it all starts for Liverpool. So that's one I'll throw in. I don't know how we make a top 5 out of this.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to do that.
Do you know the other thing with him is I love players who, when there's like a melee of like 3 of their guys around your one guy, but your guy somehow emerges with the ball, he's that guy.
Yeah. Like,
because his close control is so incredible, but he's also not conventional.
Yeah.
Even when the camera's like really far away, you just go, oh, there he goes. And he just like comes out of this 3, and the 3 are all still like, what's going on there? He's really petty.
And he's megged all 3 of them.
All 3 of them. Yeah. And again, but like you have to slow it down in order to see that. And he's done all this amazing shit and then just gotten out that little melee.
If it wasn't for how bright his teeth were, he'd be a great pickpocket.
Right. Or if anything, the teeth dazzle you and you're just like, what?
Yeah, like a flashbang grenade.
He should be Matt Damon in Ocean's 11.
That's more of a mugging than a pickpocket, really, isn't it?
Right, okay. I don't think we can do a top 5 in the traditional sense. So, but what I think we'll do is, we need to try and represent the full breadth of Roberto Firmino. So maybe it's a 5. We might stretch this
celebrations.
Celebrations.
So a celebration.
No looks. It's got to be no looks.
Okay.
What's your favourite Bobby celebration?
Was there not the guns? The guns.
I do like the.
That is good.
Yeah,
also, because he got other players involved with that as well, and
Mane was copying him.
The Mane copying thing.
So the kicks though, the karate kick.
I think it's the karate kick because he was dangerously close to kicking loads of our lads in the air. We were inches away from like Virgil van Dijk not having a jaw at times.
So let's wear this out. So definitely a goal, definitely an assist, definitely a celebration,
You do realise you're just naming generic things at this point
Yeah,
about a
because we
football
can't
player.
possibly.
Yeah, we're gonna have to pick one for these categories. What I'm saying is, we'll create a 5
We've
that
not even
consists of
talked about
this.
the nutmegs because he did nutmeg so many.
But can we
players.
think of a specific nutmeg? Is my point.
I can think of the drag back where he pulls it back and then pushes it through someone's legs, but I can't think who it was.
What was the turn that he done on the line when the ball looked like it was running out and he
The
just
Villarreal
flipped
one.
it?
Villarreal.
Okay, so I think a moment
Needless
of skill. Yeah,
It has to be needless because that nothing came with that.
a moment of skill, and then just a general life moment. So we've got goal, assist, celebration, mad skill,
Life moment.
life moment. What's his best ever goal for Liverpool?
I've got to give it to the Club World Cup.
I'm going to say Man City. That's my favourite. That one with the shoulder
chip.
on John Barnes. John Stones. John Barnes.
He wishes.
John Barnes did kill it. That little chip is a good goal. I think that'll be the most replayed goal of his time.
PSG.
Goal.
Yeah.
PSG is
Well,
The goal.
Mate, to well, that goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is
Do
made a
you
load of
remember the
difficult.
mad one where, and I don't think it was like a major goal or anything, but he had the goalkeeper and he just went near post, but off the post near post.
Huddersfield, I think it was.
No, actually, it's a lie. It's Arsenal. When they're all laying
Arsenal
on,
slide.
when they're
That is a
laying
good
on the
one.
floor.
Yeah, I'll go with that actually.
Yeah,
I think it's got-
I'll go with that as well.
Arsenal
Okay,
on the floor.
so we'll do his Arsenal goal.
There was forwards for Arsenal falling down when he was doing that. They're all in shots.
Robbie was in the stands just like fell.
Yeah. Just Ty next to him shouting about going invincible for no reason whatsoever.
You used to do
They
that.
don't respect us.
Thierry Henry used to do that. Yeah. Today I was like, I don't really care at the minute.
So
He's like that.
so okay, so the Arsenal goal.
Fucking in the middle of the pitch.
The Arsenal goal's his best goal. What's his best assist? I think it's
The little turn on Newcastle.
I'll go with Newcastle then.
It's Newcastle or Southampton are the two.
They're the two, yeah.
Newcastle.
I think Newcastle. Okay, we'll go Newcastle as the
Do you know if
best
they
assist.
refilmed, like, remember the Nike commercial in the airport? Where
Yeah, the Brazilian
where
one.
someone nutmegs someone and then he grabs the back of his neck
Oh,
and goes,
ole.
ole.
Yeah.
That would be Bobby Firmino if he
Yeah.
was in that advert now.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree with that. So,
Celebration.
celebration.
PSG's got to be. It's got to be up there.
It's most iconic, is it?
Yeah, it's the most iconic.
But the most fun one is definitely the kicks.
The kicks is the most fun.
Because the kicks is also just, the photos of that are so good.
It's fucking stupid as well. That's
Yeah, imagine like
It's
he could-
dangerous
He could like
stupid.
dislocate his hip, landing.
He could kick a numerous amount of
It's
teams.
just
Like,
putting people's eyes out.
that, you know the
He's
lad
got
you,
studs on, you know.
you know that lad the other day, Jäger was fuming at when he nearly killed Andy Robbo in the United game. That was Roberto Firmino.
Yeah.
He was literally centimetres away from injury.
He's doing spinning bear kicks in the
This is why
in
we're
the
not
corner.
The
of the
kicks
pitch.
with Mane copying. It's got to be done.
Yeah, anything where Mane copies is funny.
Yeah.
That was in Porto, I think, in the orange kit when the
Yeah. We're not him, though. Like, he doesn't even think of that. We're all going, what about health and safety? And this guy's just...
How
doesn't know
close
what
can I
it
get
is.
to this man's eye?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I love the idea of Mane going up to Firmino before the game, going, "We scored today. What are we doing?" Do you know?
just follow me,
Mane just
follow me, son.
copying it, yeah.
Just follow me lead.
I like the idea of them going like, right, the health and safety officers sitting down with them and going, right, Roberto, we've done a risk assessment on the flying kicks. I'm afraid you're going to have to stop. And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
Will you just sign this to say you've read and agreed to it? Yeah. Scores, doesn't again. And the guy's just like, oh my God. Yeah.
What was the one with... Is it the one in the green kit with Coutinho, Firmino, Mane, where they all do like a little dance together?
Yeah.
Am I misremembering
I
that?
don't remember.
I feel like that's Bobby Firmino.
I think it's got to be.
It's that, innit?
It's got to be the iPad.
I think
It's also
so.
because the way he like juts around with it is kind of cool.
I mean, the fact that like people forget, like he nearly had his eye poked out against Spurs the week before, didn't he? And he's come back and scored a goal and then decided to laugh about it with the celebration. Okay, skill.
Oh, it's outrageous. The iconic one's the Villarreal one. It's so
Villarreal,
stupid.
yeah.
It's so fucking pointless. I love it.
He gets away from him though, doesn't he?
Yeah.
The ball's going out for a throw in, and instead he just basically turns Roberto Soldado inside out for shits and giggles.
What about the one where he scores off that mad one against Watford off the inside of his leg?
Oh yeah.
Does that count as skill?
gotta go in the goal.
That was ridiculous. It did score. It was ridiculous.
It was.
I don't remember that.
I feel like though we should
Salah
go with
crossed
the
the ball.
Villarreal because Darwin's done that a couple of times this season as well, and he like them type of goals where the near post,
Yeah.
like Cruyff in.
As
isn't
that
Darwin's on it.
that spin is unreal. Okay, I think we
Okay.
go with the Villarreal.
Okay.
The Villarreal spin.
Because
And
also
then-
it looks impossible. Like, he shouldn't be able to do that at that speed. Like, he's going so quick.
Yeah. Big question then, because I think it's a pick from 3. For personal moments, from playing the piano, baptism. Oh, I've got 4. Baptism, putting his wife's vagina on the internet, and getting beaten by Chris Pajak at Pro Evo.
Oh, the meme.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you've missed the meme off. The Burnley meme's outrageous.
Yeah.
That's my one.
Sky are making a really big deal out of it because Mane and Salah haven't passed each other, and then everyone's like, "Oh, it's a big." And you see him like, "It's so good." It's so good. The meme. I mean, it's that or his wife's funny, but I'm going for the meme.
I'm going for the meme, yeah.
Okay.
Only because I sent it to everyone when it came out.
Forwarded many times.
Any time in the group chat with like 2 lads having a go at each other, someone just threw it in there. little diffuser, that is the little Bobby's meme.
There's also his awareness of those memes, though. Like, you know, a lot of players, there's like stuff happens about them and they don't know it's happening. Like, he knows that's important somehow, and so he does it. Shows like he's sort of normal. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's not one of those people who's like doesn't know about social trends and stuff. I like that.
I'll go meme as well then. I'm convinced.
Yeah, I think that's...
Also, I don't remember beating him at Pro Evo or FIFA, whatever it was. So
Really?
no, not really.
Pretty sure you've beaten
Got
you.
an elite mentality, mate. Just next game. You know what I mean?
Harvey Elliott next.
Yeah, I was going to get that picture up, but basically every newspaper's website on is fucking garbage. Right, there we go. I've got it for those of you who are not familiar with it. I believe we can get that up, Aaron. No, we've got an advert on it, twat!
That's got the hallmarks of a Reach PLC website.
You
that,
think,
mate.
genuinely, you would think, wouldn't you?
I have seen the Liverpool Echo website before.
Yeah, sounds right. Okay, cool. Well, we'll. Yeah, I think we've created a pretty comprehensive top Roberto Firmino top 5 there. I think we've managed to encapsulate the fullness of the incredible human being that he is. There we go. The top 5 Roberto Firmino moments. Villarreal for the skill, PSG for the celebration, Newcastle for the assist, Arsenal for the goal, and Burnley for the meme. Absolutely nailed it. Brilliant. Well done, everyone.
I love that our best Roberto Firmino moment is a meme. That's brilliant. Sums him up.
But that's why.
It wasn't far away from being his wife's vagina, though. To be fair, so I'm glad the meme got in.
Really?
I think vagina's like one of the most said words on this show today now.
That's a little concerning,
Weirdly.
isn't it? Yeah.
You used to see last week.
Liam Bento, and I said, yeah, surely the full-length run to the Reds fans celebration has to be the best Bobby celebration, but no. It was... in
Nothing
terms
that
of-
happened in that COVID season counts.
Yeah,
other than
no.
Alisson's goal.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that counts.
winning the
Yeah,
league.
yeah.
That counts twice.
Those winning the league does count,
Just
though,
that
right? Just gonna say.
No,
throw
that's
it
it.
out there.
That season.
Okay.
Yeah, that entire season.
Yeah. After we won the league, that was, wasn't it?
That was the year after.
Yeah.
It was
We'd
again.
already won it when COVID struck.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Okie dokie. We're going to take a very, very short break, and then we will return for part 3, where we're talking about Liverpool in the present day again. Sauce.
Is it true Jonathan Will got shot in the arse in a bar?
Yeah, it is a good story. So I'm in my ma's Sunday morning. The phone goes. It's Semi. Have you got the doctor's number, lad? Yeah, I'll get it for you now. Why, what's up? Got shot last night in the arse. I'm like, what? Yeah.
I've got a hole in my bum.
Hole in inside and come back
It's like, yeah, you'd have that when you're born.
I know footy players are stupid, mate, but honestly, like,
Yeah,
that's
no,
meant to be.
we've all got that, mate. had to guess which one of us went for away in the break and didn't return in time for part 3, who would you guess? Let me know in the live show chat underneath. All I'll say is we were going to talk about the last clip, which was the Cheap Thrills playing live. But the person we were going to ask about it is back now. Yes.
I've been here for
Hello.
We just watched your band. You just wasn't it?
Oh, really? Yeah.
I think. Well, I presume it was your band.
It was, yeah. We put a little
Singing was a bit
betterment. Someone from you sent it over. Boss, how's it going at the moment? You got a tour
Boss, yeah. We've got a new single out today called Reborn. So that's had a really good response. We've got some good gigs lined up in April. So we're playing the O2 Academy 1, the big room, on the 8th of April. We're also playing some dates around London, Southampton, Hull, Newcastle and Glasgow.
Why Hull?
I don't know, the whole massive, mate. The whole massive. You know what I mean? They've got they've got cheap bills fans.
It's just down the 62. We can't get lost. We'll go Hull.
Yeah, just straight, lads. Just straight. The band's going really well, yeah. We've been writing a lot of songs. Can't say much else about them, but it'll be a big summer. So
people watching will recognise it because one of your tunes was used for the kit reveal for Liverpool's green kit this season.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we got to work with Zup Media on the release of this kit here, the green one, for the European away. It is a good kit. Yeah, good kit.
Good reveal.
They approached us and used our tune Codependence. They really loved it. So
What was the line in it? There's a line in that song that like I think every Liverpool fan latched onto. What was the line?
We'll follow for a lifetime and a day. It was, and yeah, it was mad. They came to us and they said they had the Olympia all done up with all retro shirts, retro flags. Used loads of our flags and that from some of the lads in the band and that they bring the game. And yeah, it was quality. We got to meet all the players and that. So met Bobby. Bobby was my favourite. And Curtis, to be fair, Curtis Jones as well. Scouser, boss. But yeah, so they used the tune. They paid for us to re-record it because they wanted the stripped down version. So the tune itself's a bit more upbeat and they wanted an acoustic version of it. And we went in the studio with Alex Quinn, done that, and then they loved it, came back. And yeah, it was surreal. Like they had this massive flag in the Olympia. It was bigger than my house. And it had our lyrics on it, and then all the places where Liverpool had won in Europe and that. So it was quality to see. And yeah, surreal. And then we put a little clip up after the United game when we battered them 7-0 of Cody Gakpo. We changed the words to Codependence to the Cody Gakpo version, so it's like a little song that we hope to get chanted about in the cop and that. So.
Nice.
Amazing stuff. We will be chatting with the lads a bit more about their lives in general on Red Men Uncensored. You'll have seen the clip from John Welsh from last week. If anyone watched it the week before, you'll have seen the clip where, well, we couldn't show too much of what Chris said. Chris had the most unrepeatable story in the history of Red Men TV. But yeah, that show will follow if you want to get involved. If you use the code TNP on a club captain subscription over on redmenplus.com, you get 50% off.
Or percent 50 off.
What?
Or percent 50 off. Can we bring that graphic back up?
Here comes the live shaming.
50.
Who typed that?
Why?
No idea. Remember, it's like that bit in Photoshop where every now and again, like the cursor just
randomly
goes to the wrong part of the words. Yeah, maybe it's
You
that.
just give up.
Although I did see the posters for the Shazam posters in Spain, and where you've got the upside down exclamation point either side. It's my favourite thing about the entire Spanish language, and just I think we should have more things.
Yeah,
like
you've
that.
always had a big thing in your bonnet about this, haven't you? A big in your bonnet about not only finding out it's a question at the end of the sentence, whereas the Spanish go, this is going to start at the start of a
Change
question.
your tone, mate.
So change your tone now, and then you get to the end and it's fine.
Well, that's why with upspeaking's like one of the worst modern fucking additions to the English language, and the Spanish have just cut that out completely because you're like, there you go, you're asking a question now, fill your boots.
Trigger warning, basically, at the start of the sentence.
Exactly.
Yeah, for you.
I'm going to tell you that you don't have to upspeak because here's a little upside down question mark just for you.
Exactly.
Works at street.
Exactly.
We can learn a lot about them Spaniards.
We're going to talk about what happens now. There is Liverpool are now in a 17-day break from the football. Want to put everyone's feelings around all this, and obviously the top four race. Martin Walls, one of our club legends, subscribers in the Discord, saying, let's use these days off to refuel, get Diaz back and attack the top four running. We can do it. We are Liverpool. I think the issue is whenever we have to do these things, Lawrence, in the immediate aftermath of a Liverpool defeat, we're all kind of a little bit down in the dumps. And no matter what the general sort of up and down, black and white views of things seem to be online, if you're a Liverpool fan, everyone feels that. And it is hard to kind of feel super upbeat because we just lost 2 back-to-back games, beating United 7-0 feels like an absolute lifetime ago. It was the best week. It was the best week a million years ago. But that's kind of the mission's left now. There's no more Champions League football. There's only one objective left. I don't know if Liverpool are good enough to get in the top 4. And that's kind of the point that's being made there. That's what they've got to do, though, now. They've got to go and prove that they are capable of doing it.
Do you think it's partly they've also let it out of their own hands? It felt like it could have been in... There are so many games though this season we've gone to in our hands now. We've got like 20 games left or, even like 25 games left or whatever it is. So many of these, what you want to call false dawns or whatever. And then games like Bournemouth and just loads of really disappointing games where the team just... It's not when they don't turn up. They just turn up and just don't get out of whatever gear because there's almost like a, well, we'll score in the end sort of mentality kind of thing. I get what you're saying. Part of me thinks we've let it out of our own hands and now there are too many tricky games in that final run-in. And when I do the math of how many games we're going to need to win because the other guys are going to get X, I just don't know how we get that many wins out of that final 12 games.
It's when you look at the upcoming fixtures,
There's 3 in a row that aren't great.
Literally, I mean, we come back with the early kick-off against
And we're
Man
always
City.
really good after a big break.
And in away games and in early kickoffs.
Yeah.
But we won't be playing in the away kit.
Helps.
We'll be playing in the home kit.
You need to burn that fucking white kit. If anyone allows them to wear that white kit again between now and the end of the season, they should be fired on the spot.
There's a big problem as well here that we've got where the team news is going to be an April Fool's.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's the
It's
cut-off's
an early
12
kickoff.
p.m,
Yeah.
isn't it? So the team's coming out at 11:30. You need to watch out that morning for April Fool's Days on the team.
It's Fabinho, Milner in midfield. Oh, no, that's...
Oh, no,
that's,
yeah.
that's it.
Real life, Steve. In the Bernabeu against the European champions.
Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain's going to think his day's come in a big way. He's like, come on in the Bernabeu. Come on in the Bernabeu. I've seen the team's been leaked. I'm starting. They're like, no, sorry.
Do you know I reckon before that game where... Do you remember... was it Keegan who was coaching... Yeah, it was. So it's Kevin Keegan. And he's in the running against United. And he turns to... Who was his goalkeeper at the time? It was like... Is it Cernacek or someone like that? Pavel
Cernacek or
Yeah.
Shaka Hislop.
No, it's Pavel Cernacek, apparently, I think. And he turns to him apparently before a massive game and goes, why can't you be more like Peter Schmeichel? And in his autobiography, Cernacek basically goes, that absolutely just crumbled everything that I had. And I imagine that Klopp turned to Milner before this game and goes, like Modric, huh? and he goes, yeah, okay. And just nothing happens like that at all.
Yeah. Do you know who you're the same age as?
Yeah.
Luka Modric.
He's fucking great, mate. So what are you doing? We keep talking about you like you're old. Stop acting like it. Look at him. He's dope to us. He's dope. He's not dope, but he's close. So.
So, Terry, Man City 12:30 on the 1st of April. Away. Chelsea away on the 4th of April. Arsenal at home on the 9th of April. So, the first 9 days of April, we play, 3 of the historic and most recent biggest rivals. I think it's Lawrence's point is Liverpool are very capable of winning any of those games individually. I don't necessarily feel like we're capable of winning all 3 of them back to back. But the point is that you could equally lose all of them, and then all of a sudden you come out of that spell, and we've got Leeds away, Forest at home, West Ham away, which are 3 very winnable games, but we've left ourselves with a do or die. I think you've got to perform above expectations in these 3 games coming up.
The mad thing is, like, you hear them fixtures coming off the back of Bournemouth and Madrid, and you just think, fucking hell. But then this Liverpool team, they'll turn up and they'll probably do 2 out of 3 of them or something, get some decent results, and then they'll go to Forest and then they'll fuck it.
Yeah.
I was thinking that.
Yeah. But we're averaging about a point a game from our away games at the moment, aren't we?
Oh.
And how many? So from 3 away games there, we're averaging 3 points. So we're going to win 1 and lose 2.
That's not enough.
That's not enough.
to
You
get
can't
into
close
it.
the gap doing that.
Exactly.
That's the major issue. Like
Especially-
our home
yeah.
form, we got 30 points at home this season. And is it 12 away or something?
Sounds like a stat.
It's not good enough. Like,
So I
it's
think
a big
I
problem.
think we're going to beat Arsenal at home on the third of those games. I just back us at home. It's those other two. Like you're going to need to win one of them.
Yeah.
At least one of them. And listen, you can win at Chelsea away because Chelsea aren't that good, but it's not easy.
Potter's got a number a little bit. As well.
And also like the time of that fixture when it was obviously rearranged, I think Liverpool would have won it then.
Yeah.
Because Chelsea were in dire straits. That they've kind now we're getting them here and they seem to be getting a little bit back to some sense of normality and they figured a few things out, who to play and who not to play. It's really difficult. What I would say is like we're gonna know either way by 9 days into April whether we're in the top 4 days or we're just waiting for the end of the season.
My big issue here is I think Arsenal are better than us.
No, so do I.
And I
So do I.
think, like, right.
Shut
No,
up!
fucking way. Chris Major, inside engine.
Hang on a minute.
You're telling me that
I
you
think
run away
Arsenal
league?
can beat us at Anfield,
Yes.
which is a massive fucking concern.
Yeah.
Because Arsenal never do anything against us at Anfield. They capitulate every time. And if they win at Anfield, they are nailed on for the league title.
I hope so.
And I think they're nailed on for the league title already, to be honest.
Yeah, my general feeling is there's 12. We've got 12 games left to play, and I could see a world where we get a couple of draws in those games, and it feels like it's not enough, but it's you've got to come out. You've got to come out. I think from that 3.
6 points at least, I think.
A five. If you come up with 5 points from that, I think you'd be because and it still leaves you with 9 games left to play.
But also, so Newcastle and United might get sucked into this, but Newcastle and Spurs have got pretty winnable games, and then they go into
I get the
their tricky
Newcastle
games.
fixtures up.
Don't they have to play each other a couple of times? They've still got to play each other.
So there's a bit of that, which is
So-
Conte's got the Alec Baldwin thing where it's like always be closing. He's always closing games.
Yeah.
So, and I know that's maybe not a good reference nowadays, but like, still, he's just this guy who just go out there and just get a win. And Harry Kane just seems to go like, yeah, all right, then we'll do that then, won't we, lads?
Yeah.
And they just do it.
Yeah. So Newcastle have got Forest away at the weekend. They host Manchester United on the 2nd. They've got West Ham away on the 5th. Brentford away on the 8th. Villa away on the 15th. Newcastle home on the 23rd and so on. They play Arsenal later on. The final 4, they play Arsenal, Leeds, Leicester and Chelsea. So they've got...
They can win They can win a lot.
But the thing is, they've got...
It can be done before it gets to those last 4 games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we're not, like you said though, we're all framing it terribly because of what's going on. But it's hard to predict when the team are just so unpredictable.
Also, mate, Tottenham and Newcastle aren't that good. And Brighton don't rule Brighton out this, though, by the way. They're very much in this for now. They're not great. Like, that's the thing. The whoever's going to come forth is the least shite of those.
Could be United still, you know.
Yeah,
like
they're not-
Spurs might still push United into 4th position, and it might be United that we got to catch.
Potentially.
So-
I'd rather be chasing Spurs at this point than
Of
United.
course.
So, but yeah, it could be. I just think that's the saving grace is that we're looking how bad we've been, and we have been terrible. But they're not mad. They should be out of sight.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And do you know what else I think this Liverpool team are? They are that kid in class who we probably all were at one point, who leaves the homework to the last minute that one time, and then for the rest of the school term he goes, just do it last minute and see if we get it in. And they've kind of got that mentality now where it's like, we're not down to 10 games yet. You know, when we get to 10, then we'll turn it on, and then we'll just win
The problem
them.
is, though, we're 2/3 of the way through the season. We know what this Liverpool side is.
Yes.
They're not changing now.
Yeah, Liverpool are not... Well...
Are they not? Is this not the final time where they could?
I think getting Diaz back. I think touch wood. If he can be Luis Diaz again, that's huge. I think. But
Who did he push out the team? Sorry. So we're all talking about Luis Diaz coming back, but we've signed Cody Gakpo since then.
I think Darwin goes out for a bit.
Really?
I think so. I think if Diaz
He
is
loves hooking them, doesn't he?
I think you're talking about what we're doing in the Bernabeu when you're chucking Carvalho and Oxlade-Chamberlain into games to try and win them in the final 10 minutes or stuff. It means that you've got another really good player to put in with 20 minutes to go.
But the flip side, Paul, is like, look at Jota now. Like, expecting Diaz to come back and perform miracles.
I think the thing that's
I think Thiago's more important than Diaz coming back.
Yeah.
Well, because he's a midfielder, and we could do with one of them. Interesting though, everyone's got a little clutch of fixtures. Ours come immediately after the break, and that's what I mean. What we need to do is kind of hold our nerve. No one's expecting 9 points from that. we should expect that it's not 0 points at the same time as well. We should be able to take something from that. And you've Newcastle's might come a little late in the day, but like Leicester, we've been nailed on for top 4 for like 3 consecutive seasons and fell out of it on every one of them because they bottled the running because they had no experience of how you get over the line in that. So that's a little crumb of hope, albeit it's a completely different side. Spurs' little run of games, so they've got, once they come back, they've got Southampton away at the weekend, which should be a foregone conclusion, but Southampton are a bit of an unknown in the last couple of weeks. They've got Everton away, which you'd imagine they'll win because Everton are fucking rubbish. They've got Brighton, then they've got Brighton at home, Bournemouth at home, Newcastle away, Man United at home, us away. In a little run of games, like that's their make or break.
They've the bonus that I was thinking of they on this, and where we might and Newcastle, over the you talk about United, maybe Chelsea is European football. Us Spurs, Newcastle don't have it.
Well, this
United
is
and Chelsea.
This is what I'm going to come on to on the next point is Manchester United's run of games. So right now, this is without. They've still got the FA Cup to play this weekend against Fulham. They obviously won tonight. They got through against Betis. They've got Newcastle away to play next time out when we come back. They've got Brentford at home, Everton at home, Forest away, Chelsea at home, Spurs away, Villa at home. And so again, they've got that. It's not as pronounced, but Chelsea Spurs back to back is an interesting thing. Newcastle, Brentford back to back. Plus throw in potentially an FA Cup semi-final. Plus the next round of the Europa League. Definitely into that, which is another 2 like a game to throw in. The Europa League is the huge X factor in that for Manchester United because they could use that as the catalyst and carry on and blah blah blah. But all it takes is one game where Rashford runs himself into the ground playing in a big Europa League game on a Thursday night, and then he's just not at it at the weekend, and he doesn't score the goal that gets them over the line, whatever that looks like. So yeah.
So you wish them all the best in the Europa League, basically.
To a point.
I don't think United are our business at the moment, to be honest. I don't give a shit about them. I think they're far too far ahead. Like, got to focus on the team that's closer.
It's not as many points as you'd think, so they look gettable, but
8.
realistically they're not.
Between 8 and between us and United.
And by the way, this is a great season under Eric Ten Hag so far. Mm-hmm. So,
wouldn't it be terrible if it all fell apart?
Don't rule Chelsea out.
They have started to turn the corner a little bit, haven't they?
It's a long way for Chelsea, though.
No, I don't know.
Well, Chelsea are 5 points behind us, and we are 6 points behind 4th. So 11 points.
Of all these teams, I think if any of them could go on a run at them, I start to feel it might be them. Like where you can just bang out 6 wins on the trot. I don't think we can do it. I don't think Spurs and Newcastle.
You don't think we can do it, but you think Chelsea can do it.
I don't think Chelsea can do it.
Yeah,
either.
I do. Yeah. Might be wrong, but.
No,
they feel like they've turned a little bit of a corner and they've sussed a few things.
But didn't we think this a week ago?
Yeah, but they've won more than one game.
Listen, when we were winning 4 games on the bounce, I was still saying we can't get 4th. Sorry.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. But like I say, Chelsea Champions, they might just go all the eggs in the Champions League basket. Which
oh no, I see what you're doing. Yeah, I reckon Chelsea are looking pretty good as well.
Yeah, you're right. And again, them having that is it's weird. I've kind of switched off to Chelsea, to be honest. But you're right. They certainly have the potential to do it because they're another one like us. It's not what I would say in this, and this is the problem, is that we talk about this on the top. Doesn't feel like there's any magic left in this season, and that's a problem because we could really do with some. And we've tried to like reboot it. So that good run of form, culminating as it turns out with Manchester United, was us changing things around and turning the corner and proving that we can put a 5-game unbeaten run down, which is what we're going to need to do at least the game. But the problem is, as we mentioned, you've got 3 basically ridiculously tough fixtures in that.
Yeah,
it's not outside the realms, but I agree with you on it, Chris, in so much as there's no evidence to suggest that Liverpool are just going to become a team that can win 10 games back to back because they haven't been that all season. It's not outside the realms of possibility because as we've said, but we're just repeating ourselves from everything we've said. At every break during this season, we've gone, this is the one where we regroup. This is the one where we look at what we've got. This is the one where we finally get it back on track. We get some players back from injury. We're going to get more players out injured. That's what's going to happen.
The most interesting thing is, does anyone want European football?
Yeah.
I think that's an actually interesting sort of thing. Like, would you be asked about Europa League? Because there's so many people go, I'd rather just not be in Europe than be in the Europa League.
We just can't afford to do that though, really, can we?
Yeah, that's an interesting thing, isn't it? Can Liverpool go a season without any European football?
We're
How
shite only playing one game a week.
How shit is that? Just as a fan, how shit is that?
It is. I do miss that midweek stuff. I envy people who've got Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday's too close to the weekend for me.
At least it gets rid of those fucking half-12.
When's the conference game?
No, yeah,
When's the conference game though? Is that Thursday lunchtime?
Wednesdays and Thursdays and whenever it's every
Tea
day.
time on a Tuesday sometimes. Yeah.
Why does the Conference League get treated like it's almost lower than our under-21 games?
Yeah, it's mad.
mad
I'm checking an app and it's like, oh, there's a Conference League game on tonight. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, never heard of either of those teams. Good luck to you. Well done.
Yeah, when Roma won it, the scenes.
Yeah.
Like, we're such snobs, aren't we? It's like, oh, well, if we can't have the Champions League, we'll have nothing.
I like
Stupid.
part of me likes the notion of, if you're going to reboot your team, you can do it with no European football, because it's pure training time in between games. You get to work on it. You don't need to overload your squad. The problem is we've scaled up to be a team that plays twice a week in terms of the numbers that we've got. You're gonna have to have you're gonna have loads of disappointed people and loads of cob-ons around the squad.
Aren't we like we're getting rid of all the players who would have filled a lot of those?
Yeah, but don't you want you go through that season and you play one game a week and you do really well, but then you have to play 2 games a week. And you can't do it. Yeah. So you need 2 games a week regardless.
Just for freshness.
To keep them in the rhythm of doing it.
Go on, Terry.
Put some Middle Eastern friends
when you're going through a rebuild like that, then you need European football to bring those big players in, don't you?
Yeah.
And I think we're at a level for the past couple of years where we want to stay at now. And if we don't get the European football, then big names just aren't going to come in. It looks like Bellingham to me, although you said every fan base thinks it's a done deal, doesn't it? But I think we will get Bellingham at the end of the start of next season. But then it's them other signings that we desperately need. How are we going to get them in if we haven't got the Champions League? And that's my big worry.
Because you're going to be playing in the starting 11 in the Europa League group stage, is what you're saying to Mateus Nunes and all them lads. Like.
We also have a really good pitch, as far as I can tell. When we walk into a room with a player, whether we've got Champions League or whatever we got, people like that PowerPoint presentation must just be amazing.
But the PowerPoint presentation is look where you get to train every day. It's the fucking AXA. Yeah. That's what you get to do, isn't it?
That's it. But like for the likes of us lads, yeah, if you could say sign for Liverpool tomorrow and everyone would be like, yeah, hands up. It's the lads that are coming from abroad and are like, yeah, this is what we've got type of thing, but we haven't got Europe. And we're not exactly like in Spain where it's nice and sunny every day, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Thursday night.
Have you felt how windy Kirby is?
Yeah. Thursday night pint struggling, isn't it?
Yeah, the show's dead if we get
You're
the
fucking drowning your sorrows on a Thursday night pint.
Thursday night gallon.
What's it called? Wednesday night pint or Friday night? That's a schedule decision.
It's Thursday night smack if we get in the Europa League.
It's a bit of a trip hazard as well, though.
Thursday night's heroin, yeah.
You end up with players who are probably more disengaged in that Liverpool squad in Europa League, just being like some of them do probably think they're too good to play Europa League.
That being said,
I can imagine Trent just standing there and just going, go on, just go past me.
Yeah, but exactly. But I don't. Trent Alexander-Arnold and Van Dijk and don't play in the Europa League. That thing you end up in the Europa League, and that's Calvin Ramsey, and that's a new centre half or a young centre half who's coming through, whatever. You play your B team until you get to the 32. You can get out the group stage.
Is that the 32nd game of the season in the Europa League? Yeah.
Right. This is another good point though. Like the type of players that we've got in our squad now. Will any of them be happy playing in the Europa League? You know what I mean? Yeah. They may want to.
Weirdly, Nunes might get a weird kick out of it because he always surprises him.
Just can't be choosing anyway.
Yeah, but you think about how this is where Arsenal have got now, and what we've lost is when you're the peak, you're the best, and your margin for error when you're bringing players in is so much smaller, and that's not a bad thing. It just means your recruitment's got to be spot on. You've got to get the right mentality who can cope with the pressure the second they come in. But it's weird that those competitions end up being the making of so many footballers like Saka, Martinelli cutting their teeth in the Europa League. It's not done them any harm. And Liverpool, yeah, exactly. Liverpool did the same when they were on the rise as well. But you've got maybe your Carvalhos and your Elliots and your Joneses and your whatevers, in between, and that could be a good making for. I don't want it. I still think we'll get the Champions League if I'm being honest. But the snobbery around
I think that.
Yeah, I do. Because why not? What? It doesn't matter whether any of us think we can or will or won't, because we've.
I'm judging you a little bit though.
Yeah, no, but fine. But like we've. I
think we'll get it. I think we'll kick on and get it.
I think we're just as fucking good and just as shit as all the other teams trying for it. It's just a matter of everyone's going to have their little dumpy moments, and can we just
We are getting people back. I
creep,
get your point.
creep above. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Real Madrid can't knock us out of the Champions
Well,
League.
there's that, isn't it? Like,
Well,
yeah,
not
that-
if they stay in the Champions League next season.
Yeah.
If they finish third in the group.
Imagine that's what's going to happen to us next year. They finish third in the group and then knock us out the
yeah, but
Europa
they're
League.
shit in the Europa League. How many Europa Leagues have they got? I might Google that.
17, you know, we the
They can't have that many because they win it every year, so they can't.
Anyone have a guess?
3.
2.
None.
It'll be UEFA Cups we're counting, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
4.
4's and decent.
No, that's not right. That's they don't even want to give me the answer because no.
Are you on Wikipedia?
I'm on the internet, generally speaking, at the moment. Hang on a second.
Thanks, Dad.
I'm typing
Surfing
into
the web.
I'm typing into the internet machine. Thank you so
On
much.
AOL.com.
You literally
Go
can't.
to Marvel.com to look this shit up. I don't know what.
I'm sorry, but I can't be any more on the
You asked-
nose than how many UEFA Cups have Real Madrid won, and it's telling me 14 times they've won the UEFA Champions League 14 times.
You want to ask
Go to
Jeeves?
Wikipedia,
He's
Real
on
Madrid,
dial-up.
honest.
Someone's on the phone.
Yeah.
Not again, man.
This is great internet. This.
Yeah.
I've just gone to their Wikipedia page.
And gone honours.
Scroll down to
Like a
honours.
normal person would.
2.
2.
1980,
see.
85 and 86.
See what? Steve got the answer.
Good
No,
years.
no. What? How many times have we won it, and how many times have they won it?
It's got nothing to do with us. You just said how many times have they won it, and I guessed 3. And then you went, see. I was like, what
I said
for?
2.
No. To them, we've won it more times than them. They haven't got the history in the Europa League like we have.
Yeah, but they still
Simple
knock us out, though. 'cause
We've
they're
won it
better than
3
us.
times, Chris. We've got the magic.
so
We've got the
much
magic of the UEFA Cup behind us.
God almighty.
We do
I
have some
think
good comments.
all right, that's great until we hit Sevilla at some point.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. We want to stay the fuck clear of Sevilla, Chris. Stay clear of Sevilla. But Real Madrid are getting fucked up, is what I'm saying, when they got knocked out of the group stage of the Champions League and face us in the round of 32 times 4.
Alaves will take on.
Yeah, absolutely.
How many times were they in it, just out of interest? 2.
2 times. Shit. Yeah. Well, look, it is what it is. It's hope rather than expectation. And you're right. Look, I think if Liverpool were gonna turn it round, they'd have done it by now.
It's going down to the last game. I think it gets that
yeah.
last game, and there's maybe 2 or 3.
I can't think of a season where the top 4 place was decided any earlier than the last game of the season. Maybe every now and again.
Because everyone's accused of shit.
Well, yeah, because that's it, and it is, and you have a lot of that. There's a lot. That's a lot of footy to be played.
Do you reckon if we get Jude Bellingham in this international break, where people reckon that's where he's going to decide it, then the fans are just like,
Give a fuck.
just give a yeah. We're just literally like, who cares? We're going to cheer whoever and what happens after this.
Yeah.
Thank you, Oxlade-Chamberlain. Thank you, Cater. Thank you, all these guys. You've been
I tell you,
monumental.
the thing I heard about this, I was talking to a journalist before we ended up on the leaving Manchester Airport together, and I was just chatting to her, and she was saying, like, it's weird because obviously you talk about entitlement a lot when we talk about it, Chris, is that there's so much more pressure around it at the moment because we've been spoiled for these last few years, and it was that general sense of, don't get as angry about it. I get a bit sad about it, I get a bit down and what have you, but everything does just come around again, doesn't it? You know, everything goes on cycles. You have your high point. Every team gets to its peak and then drops off for a bit, and it's annoying that our drop-offs just seem to fall off a fucking cliff. But eventually we'll figure it out again and come back around again, and then we might have a season in the Europa League, and that sounds shit. I don't want to be in the Europa League. I want to be in the Champions League. I enjoy being in the Champions League. It's the biggest games. It matters. Those dead rubber Nottingham games against Ruben Kazan and all that kind of stuff, but it's, still a chance to go and see some new teams and do all those kind of things. Hopefully this is a fucking totally pointless conversation.
I just don't want to be banter FC. That's the thing I just don't like.
But that's its own pressure though, isn't it? That's like a modern pressure that we've applied where we've given loads of shit to fucking fans of other teams the last few years, and now it's our turn to receive it, and we don't like it.
Well,
because it turns out
yeah.
banter's a two-way street.
Well, Rio Ferdinand clearly cannot take banter because, and Rio Ferdinand and Gary Neville have had a bad 10 days of banter. So I reckon they must have got pelters because then Rio Ferdinand's analysis on every Liverpool game, the Bournemouth game and the game last night, it was as if like all the players have just been diagnosed with like something terrible. Like he was talking about Liverpool as if they have got no squad next season and all this sort of
You know,
stuff.
it was as if when in scoring those 7 goals were all instances of him shagging a family member that he really likes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's and he's taken it really personally.
He did, but it seems he's taken that 7-0 loss very personally, which he kind of has, because there are loads of tweets of him being like, "There's no way we don't win today," all this sort of stuff. So it is sort of personal, but I just don't want to be that banter team.
Oh, there's someone at the door.
Who could that possibly be?
We're
all here.
It's not part of the show.
Yeah.
Aaron!
Oh no, that guy with the guns found me in Liverpool again.
Yeah,
Dying to know who this is now, Paul.
But
that's
I agree with this. This is the way. The other thing that we've got to contend with when it's exacerbated is loads of the internet fucking hate us because they've hated the fact that we've been successful and we've laughed at them and all those kind of problems. And now we're reveling. So when Liverpool have shown a chink in the armour, all of these like professional pundits who've been getting the pelters over the last couple of years and being at the coalface of it, and now the ones like gleefully dishing it out like it's like, oh, this is my expert analysis on this. It's like, it's fuck off, it's your fucking bias. I know it is, and we all know it is.
If I was Jude Bellingham, I'd sign for Real Madrid now.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, sure you would.
Yeah, absolutely, exactly.
I now can't see Amber.
Yeah, she's dead. Brace DeVille sent us a super chat in. She's an amazing panel today. Great to see Laurence on the show. Hope that's a regular occurrence. We have tried very, very hard to get Laurence on the show. And,
I came up a day early. I'm purely been away from my kids just because today was a train strike.
Yeah, purely because you've got 2 young kids at home, and there's no
I could get
person
2
who's
days
ever
away,
turned down an extra night at a hotel.
I've got to go.
Right, sounds. Okay, do we think
Amber's okay?
we'll
Is she
check on
all
it in a
right?
sec. We're nearly done.
Yeah, let's take the Roman cam out there.
She's still there.
Do we think top 4,
Is she
He's
still
a
there?
jag winner.
Laurence? Top 4,
Yeah.
yes or no?
We
Yeah.
do.
Danny? Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris?
No.
Steve?
Sorry.
5th. Europa League.
No.
I think we'll get in the top 4.
I hope you're right.
I really hope you're right. I really do.
I think there's a lot. I think there's probably Spurs fans and the Newcastle fans in particular are probably looking at their fixtures and going, "Oh God, I'm not sure. I'm not sure we win. I'm not sure we win all of these." And you're right. That it's pivotal. It's fucking huge. Really is.
Who
Genuinely
do you think we're
huge.
getting ahead of? Spurs.
Until proven otherwise, I still think Man United have got a little bit of a. I don't think United are as secure. Everyone's got like their third, and that's boxed off. I'm not certain that's absolutely a thing yet.
Casemiro's red is quite pivotal.
It's 4 games as well. He misses, isn't it?
The 1 FA Cup and 3 league. I don't know whether the next FA Cup would be. Yeah. Oh, no, I agree. I totally agree on that.
There's 8 points difference in 3 games he misses. Do you know what I'm saying?
Luckily, Spurs never bottle anything, so their fans nice and secure.
Why do Spurs fans hate our fans? Is it the Champions League final?
No, I don't know.
They built it up into a rivalry that never existed. It was a one-way rivalry, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Remember, we did it. This is
Gary
like a
Flappers.
random thing. We got sat down to do a documentary on Ball Street about like the rivalry between Liverpool and Spurs, and
I remember this.
They had the moody light, and then they sat me down and they spent like 5 minutes miking me up and getting it all ready, getting the shots all ready.
with
And
the
they went, "Can you describe the rivalry between Liverpool and Spurs?" And I said, of all the football clubs that Liverpool play against on any given season, I can say hand on heart that Tottenham Hotspur are one of them.
Did it make the effort?
And they decided to cancel the
Wow,
documentary
yeah.
based on.
I actually remember that conversation all around that as well. Yeah.
Great times. Right, okay, we're going to wrap that up there. We're going to move over to Red Men Uncensored, where we can ditch the footy chat and have a good old natter about life, the universe, and everything, completely off script and very much not shareable on the public sphere. That will be over on redmenplus.com. Do use the code TMP and get a 50% discount off your monthly subscription if you want to go over and check that out. And all of the ones we've done so far, absolute belters as well. Thank you so much to everyone who's joined us live in the live show chat, to our club legends as well, of course, to our absolutely amazing panel. You guys are the
Thank you
best.
very much, gentlemen.
Yes, wonderful.
Appreciate it.
Yes, well done.
Bravo.
Little rude of Chris not to clap. There we go. So, thank you so much, and we'll be back with another Thursday night pint next Thursday at 7 p.m.
Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed the show. Did you know that if you go over to redmenplus.com and sign up as a Club Legend subscriber, I will personally email you every single month with a new code which gets you 20% off at redmenmerch.com. That's a no-brainer. Go and do it.